Okay, we did a rebranding of sorts. So this show is now called a loud. No, that's not a loud discussion. I'm tripping. It's called an on spot, actually. On spot. I should have written that somewhere, but fuck it. Who cares? Anyway, we are going to be talking about two different topics here. The first topic is what constitutes as Game of the Year. That has been a very, very important topic in the gaming community, especially since we have a lot of different games that are coming out, or has come out, which is pretty crazy. So, you know what? And I fucked that up too. See, this is what happens when you do things on the fly. I should have done this earlier, but I was like, nah, it could wait. So I'm fucking with YouTube right now, and I'm going to fix this shit here. But yeah, you have Gran Turismo, which racing games never get Game of the Year for whatever reason, right? And then you have Horizon. You have indie games; they usually never get it either, unless something calls for it, which is pretty crazy. It's wild that there's specific games that get Game of the Year, and no one actually says anything about that, man. Like, they just ignore the fact that there is no other game that can get Game of the Year but like actual like AAA games. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Somebody has mentioned before, they were like, well, I don't understand why Horizon won't get it, or wasn't nominated. So, see, people, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to the gaming community, they have to actually nominate or list these particular games. They have to do it. And if they don't do it, well, the game won't be called or brought up for nomination or anything like that. It stinks. So we're going to be getting into that, and then we're going to be getting into this inclusion, this representation type thing, because Square Enix, out of all companies, is under fire about Final Fantasy 16 and just having white characters or whatever the fuck they are. Maybe they're elves or aliens. I mean, no one ever specifies, right? What they are, because it's in the fantasy world, and then we already had that big ass debacle with the Little Mermaid, how like the black community came out of nowhere, was like, yo, thank you, Disney, which to me, I really prefer you to make your own character. Don't blackwash or do any of that shit. To me, that it's not even about principle. Like, I don't want no leftover ass fucking character. Or characters. Make a brand new one and make it like so that I care about the character. Don't change the character existing and make it black just to get some brownie points. That's the dumbest fucking thing ever. And I'm kind of pissed off with the black community allowing themselves to fall victim to this stupid ass inclusion. To me, it's dumb. It's really stupid. But here we are. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is running right now. It is called Illicit on Spot. I changed the name again, but I figured this is going to be probably. I got the illicit part. That's my name. So, support your boy though. Support your boy. Support your boy. I need that support because I noticed that in the gaming community, there's no support. And just consume and throw it the fuck away. So that's unfortunate. But we're going to try to have an hour show, 30 minutes apiece for each subject, which is awesome. And we're going to head into it. Again, I'm not one for intros or outros, so we're just going to dive in. What is your game of the year so far? Now, we don't know. No one's playing, at least in a typical gaming field, no one's playing God of War Ragnarok. So I can't really necessarily say that that's a game that you can consider God of War. That game of the year. We haven't played it yet. But so far, what is your game of the year? There have been a lot of games that have come out. Even though I like Horizon Forbidden West, I can't give that game of the year. And it's funny because it has all of the necessary ingredients for a game of the year. So you would think when it comes to game of the year that there are elements. It's a game, right? And it has to be the best game of the year, right? That's what I would imagine. Why am I getting spam? You get out of here. You're getting spam like text. Oh, they want me to fucking respond to them. Nope, I will not respond. So what's going on, Stone? But I can't give a game of the year. I don't really fuck around with third party games either. But you got indie games like Stray. You had Gran Turismo. You had Elden Ring. These were the bigger ones that people have known. You know what I'm saying? People have known in love essentially. And I don't know. When you look at this gaming business, man, why did everybody say that Elden Ring was automatically Game of the Year? You ever think about that? Like, you ever think about why they actually said that? Like, they just automatically, before the game came out, and I'm not throwing shade or shots at the game either, but, like, let's be real. Before the game came out, people were automatically saying that was Game of the Year, but they didn't give that same energy to God of War either. They were doing this wait and see approach. If the Metacritic was high enough, then they would be like, okay, I could give it Game of the Year. I'll give it Game of the Year. Fine, whatever. But it is very funny that people look at Game of the Year, and I need to know what is the description of a Game of the Year, because it seems like people stage block. Let me invite you. Yo, Stage, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. I'm doing well. I'm kind of annoyed. I had to do like some changing on my YouTube channel. Change the name to Illicit on Spot, because I want to do, I just want to be on spot with this shit, I want to do it when I want to do it. And that's what I want to do.
No, that's makes perfect sense. I mean, until you find that little pocket, making changes is normal, especially if you're trying to push yourself out in multiple platforms. So yeah,
and then on top of it,
no, I understand your claim.
So here's the thing: we got two topics. I have two topics that I want to talk about. The first topic is what constitutes as Game of the Year. The second topic is this: how important is inclusion and representation? Like that's you know what I mean? Like, let me ask you this. Okay, so the question I should propose: does inclusion and representation stifle creativity? You know what I'm saying? So I'll get into that. But the first topic I want to talk about is what constitutes as a Game of the Year. And so we had many hits this year. You just got your PS5 not too long ago. Is that you? You just recently got a PS5, correct?
Yes, sir.
How you like it so far?
I had an Xbox One S, and that was because it was the only next gen console I could have get my hands on. So it was like there was no way to get an Xbox One X or PlayStation 5. So at the time when I got my hands on it, I thought that was rush with next gen. But I was actually it's funny that I was very mistaken. Even though I like the Xbox One Series S, it's more of a cross-gen console in my opinion. And especially like seeing the leap in graphics, as not like a leap, but the resolution of certain games and the ability that I have to play with higher frame rates and things like that, more options in certain games. It just gave me a little bit more freedom that I didn't have. Plus, you have the controller, the dual sense, and everything like that. It's just far and away more what I would actually call next gen. So I'm guessing the Series X is just that much better as well, because it's that console has more resolution power as far as compared to the PS5. But it's treating me very well so far. Astro's Playroom is amazing. It's probably fun by now.
I mean, in terms of the PlayStation 5 versus the Series X, we can't really talk about the specs for each console, because I think personally it's negligible. You know what I'm saying?
It's not that. It's not the thing.
No, I'm not talking about you, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there that I think it's negligible.
I was just saying as an S owner, that's the reason why, because I didn't think I thought I was the next gen. That's the thing.
Oh
But like
shit.
as I started playing actual next gen games, like Astrobot, and I'm sure, but if anything beats Astrobot, it's done. Like it's because I played the S already, like, and I've put, I've put some time into it. I've played, games like Game Pass and things like that, and it's, there weren't really that many games on offer, so
Okay. No, what I'm saying is that for the Xbox, right, and
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, or the X and PlayStation
Yeah.
5, Sony went out their way of creating a brand new UI and controller
Yeah.
scheme, you know what I'm saying, that kind of gives it the next generation. Because I was speaking to Lionel on
Yeah.
Twitter as well, and he was basically stating that, oh, this generation, whether you have PC or these next generation consoles, honest to goodness, it's just it's a remastered generation. That's all it's doing is remastering the last generation, because none of these games so far have taken something from last generation and then did something so profoundly different that you just never could imagine it from the last generation. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
From
We're
PS
stuck in,
from
like, a
PS
very cross-gen period.
right from PS3 to PS4, there were a lot of shit that we couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't do open worlds and pretty games at the same time. Even with Grand Theft Auto, we couldn't really do that the way we wanted it, which is unfortunate. But hold on, let me see my people. But I want to make sure I keep on task with this here, right?
Yeah.
And
the next thing would be what would be the as far as game of the year is concerned, I guess, right? What would be what's it called? Okay, there's the console, there's the representation, and then there's the game of the year, right?
well, what I was saying is what constitutes as a next generation.
Okay, what constitutes a next generation game?
I mean, I'm sorry, not next generation. I'm tripping. I'm trying to fix this shit. What constitutes
What
as a
constitutes
game of the year? Hold on, game of the year. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
okay. What constitutes a game of the year is, in my opinion, a game that like stands head and tails above the competition in terms of giving what a great game is, right? Of course, it's going to in any year, depending on what you're interested in, there's going to be a lot of great games because there's a lot of companies competing. So the thing is that usually, of course, this is in the AAA genre. Sorry, not genre, but on level of games. But sometimes indies come out of clear blue sky and just take it from everybody. I would believe that would be the Haze-like game. It Takes Two. That would be the game that far and away took stood like above everybody else in that year, and did something nobody else was doing. Took the industry to another level as far as co-op games are concerned. I think that's what it is. It's kind of like how you create a 10 game, but people think that 10 is perfection. No, it's not. What it really means is it sets the bar to a certain point that it's literally leading the industry in whatever genre it's in, or and even in that genre stands above what everybody else is doing for that year.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why can't racing games win game of the year?
Because technically, I think the reason why is because it tends to steer too close to a simulation. In a lot of and that's a lot of the reason why. Because there was a time back, because races have been one of the best-selling games and one of the best graphical games of almost any generation. The thing is that it seems to me that as the demands for a generation goes by, there needs to be more of an evolution in mechanics and things like that. Yes, car games, simulators, flight simulator, things like that. Sports games. These are all simulators.
Now, remind you, I'm trying to keep this show short, so you gotta compress this shit.
Sorry. The thing about simulators is they tend not to take things to a huge level. They tend to make small progress every time. So it's like with action games, it tends, because there's so much competition, you see a larger amount of leaps within a generation. That's what I seem to be seeing with, especially when you go across indies and other genres, opposed to like the sports genre.
Do you remember that one year where what was it? What the fuck was that game that class-based multiplayer game? It won Game of the Year like back in 2017 or 18 or something. Overwatch.
2016.
What did
Overwatch? They beat Uncharted 4. Yeah.
What did it do? That was leading.
It took the elements from Team Fortress.
We already had Team Fortress.
Yeah, but
we already had Killzone. That also was class based.
Yeah. Is that okay? The thing is, it was made by the same.
No. Take away the developer. Why did that game?
Wait, no. I don't think it was the same developer.
It doesn't matter. But why did that game get Game of the Year when it did nothing new?
Well, I don't know if I can say that it's nothing new. It basically.
It did what Team Fortress Classics did, like literally almost to a T.
Team Fortress, okay. It's kind of like the effect of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, they tried to put Counter-Strike on console and make it sell, but the thing is that they failed.
You're not getting to the crux of the conversation.
No, I am. I'm trying to get to.
No, what I'm saying is this. What did it do? I need you to explicitly tell me what did it do new.
Yeah, well,
if you can't answer that question, then it did nothing new, and your theory is off. Well, the better yet, no, I'm sorry, not new. That's not what you said. That's not your stipulation. Your stipulation was
things to the next level. Yeah.
Take things to the next level.
Yes. Yeah. Because for PC games, like they tend to have this, even though a lot of them are very good, they tend to have this kind of. You're
still making examples for other things. What did this game do that was industry leading?
Well, I mean, the way that it handled teamwork and also.
That's not a quantifiable thing. That's not quantifiable for the game because you can do teamwork in a lot of different games. What did the game do quantifiably that was industry leading?
I don't think that you could quantify what it did.
No, you should be able to quantify what it did if it gets Game of the Year. Well, and not only that, because it was a type of game that was kind of done before, no one decided to really kind of go into that aspect again. If anything, I would say that Fortnite will be industry leading. That literally led everybody into battle royale games. Even though PUBG was first in that particular regard.
PUBG that actually.
I know, but PUBG wasn't refined. That's the situation. And then Fortnite, Epic refined that refined the whole thing, and they just basically perfected free to play essentially.
Well, I mean. Okay, basically they already have.
You're like breaking up. I'm not sure why you're breaking up.
Hold on a second. Let me get off of one.
Look, I'm just saying why he's doing the Wi-Fi thing.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go on.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello? Yo, are you there? Oh, he had to back out, I guess. Let me see here. Add a speaker.
Yeah, I got off. Sorry, I got off of Wi-Fi. Sorry. I tend to use Wi-Fi when I'm home.
Okay.
Can you hear me better?
DeAndre, what's going on, bro? What are you trying to jump in? Yeah, I can hear you better now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The bottom line is this, right? This is the reason why I came up with this, because I feel like all of the stuff that people say typically, which it quantifies as Game of the Year, right, is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's absolute bullshit. It's
the thing is, it's not always what's quantifiable, but again, reviews.
You have to quantify it with something, because again, you mentioned right. Let's just say, what was it? Overwatch. It was going against a lot of different games, and arguably at the time, nothing was doing what Uncharted was doing. Like it was so far beyond so many different things. I'm listening for now. I want to understand people's opinion of Game of the Year, and it's true. I feel like I said before, people don't understand what. Why is this not showing up? What's going on, bro? Done. That's so fucking annoying. My people off. You still didn't fix that damn smoke detector.
Yeah, there were so many different characters in that game, so many different styles of characters, like, and the style is just.
Yeah, but it's not doing anything that's out of. And look, I'm going to say something that's so ridiculous, right?
Yeah. That
people are going to get upset. So I'm going to ask you this, right?
Yes.
And please try to answer this as quickly as possible.
Okay.
I'm running a tight show right now. What is your definition of game of the like? What do you consider game of the year?
Again, it's the game that I'll refine my definition. It's basically a game that, or my game of the year is essentially exactly like I said, a game that pushes the limits, a game that is literally the best game of the year for me that stands above all the others. But again, in the end, when we actually think about it after talking about it, it tends to be something that's close and dear to you. So I'm guessing if we're talking game of the years and you know, game of the year awards and stuff like that, it tends to be what is subjective to that committee that pushes the industry.
Okay, so you're saying
or it's very popular.
You're saying that a game, and that's where I wanted to get to. That's exactly what I believe that it is. This is a popularity contest. Because again, you could say that it's near and dear to you or whatever. Or it does something really unique or pushes the gameplay, you know, the game for the industry further. And there are games that pushes the industry further. And guess what? It doesn't get shit.
Okay.
It doesn't get shit. We have a lot of categories when it comes to games, right?
Do you have an example? I understand Uncharted, but
the example that I'm going to bring up, which is going to piss people off, is Elden Ring.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it deserves Game of the Year.
But okay, no, I mean that's just your opinion, and two, it's your platform right now. Like so,
no, it's just an opinion. Of course it is, but if you're going by what you're explaining, then it shouldn't have gotten Game of the Year. You want to know what else is controversial, right? God of War 2018 shouldn't have got Game of the Year either.
Okay, that's your opinion, but can you explain why?
For Elden Ring, it plays too much like the other Souls games. Having an open world doesn't necessitate brand new and genre bending. If you're talking about no maps or no HUD or whatever, which it did have all of those things, like any other open world game. But let's just say the general consensus was true.
You're getting a little shallow like this. You're starting to sound like you're underwater. Sorry.
I'm starting to sound like I'm underwater?
Yeah, it's kind of like getting muffled.
I'm not even doing it. Okay, what about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing about Elden Ring.
Well, let me answer your question.
Huh? Yeah.
Even if you take away the fact that they say that Elden Ring was doing all this brand new shit, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't need no map. You know, I don't need no markers. It really organically allowed me to go from point A to B. It's still, that's what the other Souls games did. They don't have no maps or anything else.
I think that that ties into the Breath of the Wild effect.
Well, it doesn't matter what it ties into. It's just what it is.
I understand. I think that's what they would consider to be something that is worth consideration, that they melded it in a way that made that game stand out from other Souls games. I don't know because I haven't played it yet, but I'm just saying what they said. I'm just conveying that to you.
No, and I get it.
You know?
The problem here, right? The problem with that way of thinking is just very simply the other games, and it's the predecessor for the Souls games, because it's considered a Souls game too, already did what Elden Ring did. It's just that Elden Ring put it in the open world. That's the end of the story. You know what I'm saying? Every Souls game had their own shtick. You know what I'm saying? So you could take away the jumping mechanic or horse for the dodge mechanic from Bloodborne, or the dual wielding situations with Dark Souls 3, you know, or just the way that the worlds are connected from Demon Souls. Sekiro had a whole different fucking way of playing. They all had their own thing, but at its core, it's still a Souls game. It didn't do anything new. Whether you never played it and that's your first time or not, as a journalist or as a person that's reviewing the game, you should know what the fuck a game is. You should have played it, tested, tasted it, whatever the case is. You should have already dealt with it, so it shouldn't have been new to you in the first place. Anyway.
Well, I can't say that for sure. You have
a no. I'm not saying that for sure, but I'm saying when these people. Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
I'm saying in general, right?
Yeah.
When these guys are reviewing it, and you looking at a reviewer, and they're literally telling you, "Oh, I never played this before, and this is so new." Why? Aren't you a gamer? So that's that. Going back to 2018, I'll let you talk.
No, but it's the nuance of the fact
that we're not talking about nuance. We're not talking about nuance. The game has so many different problems besides nuance or whatever the case is. You can like it or not. And again, Bayonetta is another situation.
It's not about me. I haven't played.
I know, but you're trying to do devil's advocate, and I'm not trying to do devil's advocate right now.
Well, does everybody? Okay, if I haven't played the game yet, which I plan on playing it, now that I got the PS5, I mean, I want to give you as accurate opinion, and I will when I play it. But the situation is that the industry itself is saying certain things about it, and I just want to convey that to you.
I know, but I guess here's the thing: Game of the Year is an annual thing.
Yes, of course.
So that means the
frustration is why did they think it?
If we're gonna have we have to have a conversation, man. You can't keep talking over me.
Okay, sorry.
Is a Game of the Year is a combination of a whole bunch of other people's ideas and thoughts, and you know what I'm saying? It gets put out there, which means that it's a general consensus. So if it's a general consensus, what's making a lot of people think a specific game is Game of the Year? I'm going to answer your question with 2018. I don't think God of War 2018 did gameplay wise did enough to constitute something that a Souls game didn't do, because that's what it was trying to emulate, a Souls game. I would say that Red Dead was better, to be honest with you, if you're talking about pushing the industry forward, if you want to do it that way.
I think it's an amalgamation of things, but I understand your point, and definitely that's a good opinion. There was nothing wrong with it. Most people thought that Red Dead was going to win to begin with. Mm-hmm. Can I say?
No, you're good. I already say what I said. I'm trying to address your questions.
Okay. The thing with God of War is that they use very different camera styles and very cinematic and very focused story focused way of telling things that didn't waste a lot of time and allowed you still to do a little bit of exploring in a semi-open world type situation. So, even though they were pushing you along, they still gave you little paths in place, kind of like Tomb Raider, in a way to gather, trinkets and things like that you need to go to extra levels, and you could actually go a step further. The storyline, of course, in Tomb Raider was more barred, but in this you have kind of like an open, more of a world that you can traverse through from one realm to another. So the thing is that with God of War, it's kind of like your portal shifting in a way, and you still have usually linear games like that are so linear, they tend not to be as have as much depth in the combat with the choices that you get to have. In God of War, they gave you that and then some. They gave you the runes and everything that you can use to make your movesets a little deeper. Of course, you can always level up your weapons in God of War, but this took it a step further with runes and things like that. So, I mean, it goes much further than, God of Wars in the past, and it actually tells a story in a deeper, more meaningful manner, and actually was one of the best acted games of the year as well when you add a lot of features. And the thing with Rockstar and Sony is they tend to be some of its parts where their competition is concerned, like Uncharted. These games might not be the best in one area, but they tend to do everything together very well, And so, where God of War took its style compared to what Sony normally does, it tended to be industry leading. And many reviewers even to this day agree that this game took things maybe a step further than that game did. So it's going off of that same skeleton. So we'll see. I mean,
I'm pretty sure. Look, hold on. I'm pretty sure that it'll win for starters, and not because of a fanboy pony type of shit, but it's the way that Game of the Years were handled. Stranded, are you there?
What's good, brother?
What's going on, bro?
Listen, I'm out in the street a little bit and all that, though, so might hear some.
Y'all motherfuckers be doing the most, man. Y'all be playing basketball. Y'all be jump roping. Y'all be at the gym. The hell?
I'm sorry?
I said, y'all be doing the most, man. Playing basketball, dribbling. Y'all be fucking weightlifting during spaces. I'm
getting off work. What you talking about?
I'm fucking my wife right now, but I just wanted to chime in real quick. Oh yeah. No, come on, bro. Anyway, what you guys say about this?
All right. As far as this whole Game of the Year thing, it is without a doubt 100% a subjective thing. There is no objective marker to say what is a Game of the Year. If you ask, you can try to offer that to me. Because, one, everything and everybody has different criteria, so it is very difficult just to say, what exactly consists of being the Game of the Year. It's entirely too subjective. That's one point. Now, as for the other points that I'm hearing about Elden Ring, and I'm just going to ask one very obvious question. Have any of you guys who have just spoken played a single Souls game?
I did.
No, not me yet. Not just yet. I have some, but I haven't played them yet.
Let me tell you exactly one thing that Dark Souls up until then has done better than any game within the last, I will say, 2 generations, and that is having an interlayered level design. Now take that type of interlayered level design in which it encourages exploration, it rewards you for your exploration and all that, and put that in an open world game. And that's what the general consensus of people consider is so industry leading, which is also BS. Because if you're really a Souls fan, you know that they have some of the best level design there is in a game. But to put that out there like that in an open world setting, well, then you have some good and then some bad. Because I'm going to speak on the issue of it when I actually played through the games, right?
Yeah.
What Elden Ring does probably better than any game out right now is that same thing I just mentioned. It's exploration. It's just way wider. It's just way more shit to do. And it's so very, expansive in terms of what you're going to get that you are basically going to have legs for this game for years. That is the best thing that the game has done, is that it is within its whole, in terms of its level design, in terms of the bosses, in terms of the options in combat, in terms of how you build your character and all that, it's extremely expansive. And I see what the author Gene Park had mentioned is basically going to have Skyrim legs. But now, let's go through the cracks in the armor of this game in terms of what are the actual issues? The issues is it's not well balanced, especially at the end of the game. The end game level balancing is super ass. You got super strong at this point, right? But they throw you some curveballs, elongated moves, bosses that may input read, just literally getting one shot out the blue. You're like, what the hell did I just do? But that's beside the point. What a lot of these journals are going to put up there in game design, in terms of Game of the Year contention is because this is basically Little Johnny's first Souls game. It is literally the most accessible Souls game. That is why they call it Game of the Year. Bottom line, point blank, you ain't got to go through no whole diatribe. You ain't got to go through no diatribes. You don't have to go through no kind of think pieces. It is the most accessible Souls game. Again, coming from somebody who plays these games.
Yeah.
You can literally go, the fact that it is so open world, and this is also a part of the world design, because of it being open world, that's what makes it accessible. Because you don't have to go to do these harder levels, go to that other one. Whereas in Dark Souls and the Souls games from before, what makes those games harder is because you have to go through certain areas, and you're basically going to be asked out if you have not mastered at least knowing the patterns of enemies, knowing the way the level's designed, because you can go into a narrow-ass corridor, and you swing a weapon, it gets blocked. Oh, I get blocked every time I use a wide swing, so I have to use a narrow type of attack, or I have to use like a lance or something with a standard motion. You know, that goes inside of how that is designed. For example, real quick example.
I'm going to say, man, I'm trying to get to my next topic, man. You got a whole fucking story time, man. Go on, man.
No, but I just wanted to just contribute to that particular point. Because that's what everybody calls it. Why is it's the game of the year? I mean, and a lot of the I can call out the names of people who have reviewed that game and tell you, listen, I've read his articles. He's a Souls fan. He put this shit. He gave Bloodborne a 9.75 with the terrible ass frame rates and load times for every time that you die. But that's another story. Now, let's on to the next topic.
Well, I haven't even started, so like that's what I was trying to do. Why is this not updating, yo? What an annoying fucking thing. Anyway, my situation is this, right? Look, if you played one Souls games, to me, you played them all because they haven't really done a crazy amount of different things. You mentioned level design, right? There's a lot of wasted space in the Souls games, point blank, period. It's a lot of wasted space. It started off.
Elden Ring, you can say that, but
no, Elden Ring. My bad. Elden Ring, absolutely. There's a lot of wasted space in that bitch. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, it worked out just fine, right? Up until the point where it was just like, okay, well, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, you get to these these other areas, but they need help with quest design in terms of like how you get from point A to point B. There was a lot of shit that just isn't supposed to work when it comes to any kind of open world game. They have these particular things for a reason, and you just can't. That's why they double backed on that shit and was like, yo, we need a quest, we need like a quest recorder or something, because it doesn't work. I had this one bitch told me to look for a fucking grape, and I forgot about this bitch for 15 hours and came back. I was like, what's this NPC? Did you find my grape yet? Grape? And everybody should know what that is if they played it. It's just, to me, that type of shit is kind of sloppy. Now, what I believe, if you can mute your mic, man, you got a lot of noise.
Man, I was literally writing down notes of people that I actually came across just to figure out which quest line started which.
That's the problem. Okay. You know what I mean? It's at the end of the day, it's still a game. You know what I'm saying? And I get that's what my argument is this. These journalists, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you real quick. And then when you want to speak, you get unmute, okay? Yeah, you hear it? I say after mute, you got a lot of noise in the background.
Oh yeah, my fault. That's again, I'm out in the street.
Yeah, when
cars rolling by.
When you wanna talk or whatever like that, just unmute yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I need a question after you elicit. Sorry.
So I'll say this, right? One of the biggest problems, right, when it comes to Elden Ring, like I said before, there were a lot of issues with Elden Ring that, like, okay, I'm sorry, let me go back. The reviewers, these guys that get these early copies for these games for free, there is like no reason for you to have never played the fucking game. And a lot of people pegged Elden Ring as Game of the Year before it even came out. And there were a lot of reviewers that gave the game a perfect score, whether you want to say 100% or 10. is perfect or not, that doesn't matter. That's besides the point. They gave it a perfect score, and they didn't even finish the game. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I didn't finish it, but I could tell it's really going to be. That's not how shit works. Because the same thing happened with Days Gone, where it started off strong, and then it fell off the fucking cliff at the end. A lot of games can do that, and it takes the points down. These guys, I think what made Elden Ring a big game is the hype of Game of Thrones. A lot of people was like, wow, if the writer is making a story and then you have these developers that make some of the best games, you know what I'm saying, making a gameplay, this is going to be a game of the year. They told themselves that shit. And, you know, and then on top of it, ego. Oh, I'm playing one of the hardest games out there, yo. I definitely, like, I'm playing one of the hardest games out there. So that's what people were kind of, like, going into. And it just pisses me off. What it boils down is this. Because Game of the Year is never consistent. We all know that for the Game Awards, what's happening with the Game Awards, right, is people are saying you should put this game in, on a list, and this game on the list, and this game on the list, and then they do a little tally, and then that's how you get the candidates for Game of the Year. It has nothing to do with the actual organization, and that's fine. But it goes back down to the people themselves. The people themselves are literally stating, right, they like this game specifically for what reason. Now, what reason I think it is? Character. Either your game has a lot of character, or there's a character in it which has a lot of character. I don't even think it's gameplay anymore at this point in time. Whatever game put them in their feels, made them feel kind of made them laugh, you know, whatever the case is, made them rage, which would be in the Souls games, and that's their character, right? That's what they cared about. Motherfuckers, like, the problem with God of War 2018 is that it was such a simplistic, rudimentary combat system that all you had to do was follow along with the story. And the same thing what you said, stage, almost all the stuff that you said was camera work. But we're not watching movies, we're playing games. That shouldn't be industry leading to make you a game of the year. We're not talking about movie of the year, we're talking about game of the year. And if you're relying on cinematics, I don't think you belong in that space. Reviewing games.
Yeah, but again, as I said, with God of War, it tended to be an amalgamation of different things. That was just done right. It wasn't just that. It was just that just capped it off. That's all.
It was I get what you're saying. It's just they did it in such a way where everything was simplistic, so it won't get in the way of their story.
Yeah, to some of its parts, but again, the whole package, the whole.
But it's still a game, though. It's still a game. Just like what Stranded said. He said that I don't think so at this point in time. Elden Ring looked like it's kind of died off, to be honest with you, especially because they just can't fix certain things that they're supposed to fix, or that's breaking the game multiplayer wise or whatever. I looked at the statistics of the game in general and see. I don't think it'll have those type of legs, because it didn't push that genre like that. But what I will say,
actually, sorry, I want to add something to that point that you just made.
Go on, man. Go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and this was actually to Stranded as well. It seems to be me that, based on what you guys are saying, that maybe there might have been a honeymoon effect that, because of the pleasure that they felt of overcoming this game, that it caused them to bump the game up. Like more so, like they could have just most normal people would just wait like a week or so and see how they feel, and or play a couple other games, and then they would reassess their opinion, and maybe you would get how they truly feel, after they step back and they say, okay, the honeymoon phase is over. These are the actual parts. Okay, and this is like. How everything is on with a rational opinion, you kind of take the emotion out of it, I think that's the factor where a lot of people are starting to come out of it like a little bit later and start to say, okay, maybe this was the best game of the year. Because I've seen a lot of people who liked the game so much before, now they're like, well, maybe it wasn't as good, because I'm starting to see a lot of flaws, like that because I think there was a big honeymoon effect with that game. There's a
lot of videos on YouTube that are popping up saying that I want to reassess this game again, because it's not what I thought it was, or whatever the case is. And you're right. Exactly. People get caught up in the hype in general. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's playing it. Everybody, because you can feel as a human someone else's enthusiasm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once that phase is over, it's just like, well, what do I actually feel about the game? You know what I'm saying? Even though I love Horizon Forbidden West, guess what? Horizon don't have that it factor. The it factor being it doesn't have the personality. It looks gorgeous. It has a great art style, but there's nothing to attach yourself to make you feel something within Horizon in terms of emotion. You had an incredible emotional story with a kid that cries a lot and he has emotional issues. The dad has emotional issues. There's a death in the family. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's family is fucked up in God of War, and it hit home with a lot of people. You know, you have a father that's like emotionally not available. Boy, read it, boy. You know what I mean? All this other shit. And people were like, damn, that's how my father was. And they attached themselves to the emotion of it. And that's why it rung true. But they couldn't say anything bad about the gameplay because it wasn't that complicated. It didn't get away in the way of the story. And I'm just being honest with you. Horizon has a lot of crazy gameplay mechanics in there, and it's a very, very sound game. There's no emotion in that bitch. It just isn't, other than a very pretty game. The storyline is what people are attracted to. Red Dead Redemption story was not as strong as God of War's, period. God of War is one of the strongest stories there is. Period. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when it came to 2016, people were kind of sick of Sony. And just gave it to fucking Overwatch. That's what I truly think. They're like, I'm sick of them.
Uncharted, really?
Huh?
Was it really that Overwatch? I think it's that Overwatch did a really good job because a lot of people were saying Uncharted 4.
Did you play Overwatch?
Huh? A little bit, yeah.
Did you play Overwatch? Did you play Uncharted?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, what do you think?
I think Overwatch was a great team-based.
No, that's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. What do you think? Overwatch or Uncharted?
Me, I would pick Uncharted.
Okay,
that's just me.
No, I know, I get it. No, but I'm telling you, a lot of these people get paid.
Yeah, but again, a lot of these people play a lot of PC games, and again, I can say
you're saying this snapshot. You're saying this snapshot of a situation where there's been always Game of the Year before.
Yeah,
like it's PS1 Game of the Years and PS2 Game of the Years,
again,
and you can't sit there and say that it's a PC it's a PC thing, and that's what people are doing.
No, I'm saying that and again, I have to play devil's advocate. Already going to say it ahead of time because you're going to say it, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to preface it with that. Rarely do PC games like have that crossover effect where they can go into the console realm and thrive. This is the game that really did it in a way Team Fortress could not, or Counter-Strike. Kind of like in a way Battlefield did. That's that kind of effect.
Sir, I'm going to say this. Who is this person? Hold on. Let me vet the person real quick. They got 1,000 people. I can vet you. All right, cool. Hamid?
Yep.
What you got to say about all this? Welcome to my space, man.
Well, thank you.
What's going on, Hamid?
Nothing much.
Nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah, nice to talk to you too.
So, what do you guys say about what constitutes as a game of the year to you personally?
Personally, I think it's just not just the storyline or the cinematics, but the narrative and the art design of the game.
So, narrative and art design for the game is how you would. I feel like that's a fair assessment, but I don't feel like that is what is going on with the mainstream media. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, okay, look at Zelda. Zelda didn't have a storyline really like that, but it got Game of the Year, and rightfully so, because the game itself, since they're measuring a game of the year, not a cutscene of the year, not a narrative of the year, but a game of the year. It was a very good game of the year.
But it met the art design metric, though.
Yeah,
it had a lot of character. That's what I was mentioning before.
Story with every move you made.
That's what I mentioned before. You either have to have a game with character or a character within the game that has character. People are attached to the emotional side of things.
More relative characters, as in characters that you easily can relate with.
Right. Zelda wasn't necessarily the case, but you know, you can kind of measure being cold or hide or whatever the case is, or being in the wilderness and just exploring a beautiful landscape. And that's what I mean. I feel like Game of the Year is so skewed to me when it comes to this shit, because a lot of games can fail miserably gameplay wise and still make it the Game of the Year. I'm going to mention Elden Ring again. That is one of the games that has a lot of character in terms of the whole game itself, the difficulty, the art style, and things of that nature. But the narrative is buried with items and obscure like characters and things of that nature that you have to go elsewhere for. The gameplay itself is the Souls games, but broken because of the open world. You know, and a lot of reviewers just literally turned a blind eye to the performance issues. They turned a blind eye to the horrible balance issues. They turned a blind eye to co-op on the sake of, you know, oh, this game really looks pretty. It's from the makers of Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Until they really started playing it and was like, oh shit, I don't really see the story like that. It still feels like a Souls type story. And then now we're at this point in time where they're like, oh, is it really Game of the Year? I do think that God of War is going to make it the Game of the Year because I feel like it's going to tickle everyone's fucking feelings. That's what I believe.
No, but the thing is, Game of the Year is going to be airing in December. They have a whole month to decide and get that honeymoon effect off of them before the actual committee decides. So I mean,
that's why it's unfair. That's why it's not fair.
Sorry.
That's why it's not fair.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna still be ringing in their ears. Their storyline.
Well, I mean, if there's anything that comes out that kind of throws God of War off.
What game? This devil's advocate shit. What game is coming out?
No, I'm just.
What game is it? No, I'm just saying. You're mentioning this nebulous game. What game is coming out after God of War at the same time?
Callisto Protocol.
That's not gonna make it.
No, but I'm saying is Callisto Protocol getting cut off, right?
Yeah, that's getting cut off. So I asked again, what game?
Yeah, then there's nothing else.
Exactly. So it's going to
basically the rest of the year versus God of War.
So it's going to get Game of the Year, and it's going to be fresh in people's mind, and it's a decent story on top of it. It's going to get Game of the Year. Salty, people can be salty all day and all night. That bitch is going to get Game of the Year because it fits the criteria of pop culture. Of making it of the feels, making you laugh and cry and feel all sorts of things. That's all that Game of the Year has ever been fucking about. And Sony recognizes that shit too. That's why The Last of Us 1 was a great story, but they had a lot of like situations where it made you feel something. A little girl dying, a little boy dying, a badass chick, she dies. You know what I'm saying? You saving the fucking princess or saving a little girl in the most ridiculous way. All of that shit was all feels, roller coaster rides, and people don't even say that much shit about the gameplay. Like, you know, when you talk about Zelda, right? And you be like, yo, I remember I couldn't cross this fucking chasm, so I chopped the tree down and fell and I walked over it. You know what I mean? That was so cool. You don't hear no gameplay beats for The Last of Us when people talk about it. They talk about all of the fucking cutscenes. That's the strongest.
So would you say that Sekiro deserved that? Because I mean, they changed the gameplay up from a Souls game, but it was made by the the company that makes Souls games. Mm-hmm. It's kind of more like a Tenchu with a Souls type flair, but of course not a normal Souls game. But how would you do you think that would be a fair game for Game of the Year?
Absolutely.
For 29.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Over Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2 is still Resident Evil. Absolutely. You talking about something new and groundbreaking? No one's fucking with a Tenchu game or anything like Sekiro. Mm-hmm. We already basically Resident Evil 2 is in the line of The Last of Us. Over the shoulder type shit or whatever the case is. Yeah. So it's not doing anything new. It's very refined. It's Japanese. It has a Japanese flair. But in terms of Sekiro, absolutely.
Yeah, that seems to meet the metric you're talking about.
It's supposed to. But again, it seems like story is so strong when it comes to Game of the Year for people that they don't. I told you earlier, they just brush aside fucking every flaw in terms of character. I need to attach myself to something.
Yeah, but remember what I was saying before, even though it's a subjective thing, it tends to not statically hold itself to a genre. It can jump from genre to genre, from style to style, as long as it's pushing the envelope, even if it's a bit over the, and it also depends on the level of competition that was going on in that specific year. That's the thing.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. It can go from anything. It could be an indie game. It could be a AAA game. It could be a free-to-play game. It could be whatever. As long as you have character, then you're in the fucking you're in like Flynn. Period. If you can make somebody feel something strongly, that's your game of the year. That's all I see year after year, especially from PS3 to now. That's what it looks like game of the years are. How much feelings can this game make me feel at a certain time? It used to not be that way.
Journey.
No, but see, that's the thing. Journey didn't have a character that you could relate to. You just slide on some fucking sand and some shit. It's beautiful, just like Horizon, but there's nothing to grab to. People want to laugh and cry and shit like that, and I get it. And it's unfortunate. Back in the day with PS2 and GameCube and Xbox, the original Xbox, we had real game of the years. Games that were like, damn, this shit.
Narratives weren't so good back then.
Huh?
They weren't really, unless you were playing like a JRPG, they weren't really that in-depth.
So you had no choice but to look at the gameplay and be like, yo, this is a fucking badass game. Now we have storylines and people are not really playing games like that. That's my whole criticism with this shit. Is God of War Ragnarok going to win Game of the Year? Yes. I've been spoiled just a little bit, and I will not spoil anybody, but from what I can tell, it is a vast upgrade gameplay-wise. And the cutscenes are basically, you literally could take the cutscenes and put it on the fucking silver screen and no one would bat an eye. Now, I'm not talking about graphics, I'm talking about acting.
Yep.
The shit that I saw, the acting is right up there with The Last of Us Part 1. It's really fucking high. It's a mixture between The Last of Us Part 1 and all of the early Marvel movies. Like, it's fucking really crazy. It's definitely going to win Game of the Year. I've never been a big God of War fan like that, but I already see the pop culture-ness of this shit. They got it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's an amalgamation of things that just work.
Well, the thing, you see, you keep trying to infuse these things that just work, and what I'm saying is that it's not the gameplay; it's story. Story was what made Game of the Year.
No, but you said they upped the ante with the gameplay, though.
I'm saying it personally, yes, but I'm saying it's going to win Game of the Year not because of the gameplay.
Okay.
Not because of the gameplay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all subjective. So if you don't think that, then I can understand.
But I can sit there. But here's the thing: these people, these publishers, are very important when it comes to the game being successful or not. That's why Elden Ring sold as much, because they made it sell like that by hyping the game up. You know,
with Game of Thrones,
Cyberpunk started selling because they were hyping the fuck out of that game, and then everybody turned their back on it. So the sales slowed down to a fucking crawl when it came to when people started testing it out. Yeah. So that's why it's so important for these media outlets. That's why a lot of people, these influencers, that's why they call them influencers, because that's exactly what they do. They influence you. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty cut and dry in this particular case. But that's what I wanted to kind of bring up there. It's fucking crazy that Game of the Year doesn't really involve that much gameplay. It's unfortunate. It will win because the story will live up to the gameplay. No, Vegan, you're right. I'm saying that it's a good game, and as a gamer, right, I'm saying that it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be Game of the Year. I'm saying that because of the gameplay and the story. But I'm saying influencers are so shallow. The only thing that's going to ring in their head is how the game made them feel. And that they got that shit in spades like a motherfucker. That's all I'm saying. We're going to go to the second topic here. And I want to let Stranded kind of talk here. Because I know that Stranded wanted to talk here. Are you there, Stranded? Oh, shit. Hold on. I see something.
Hello? Yeah, I'm there, though. I'm just about to be in the house, and I really had to hear some things that I felt as if it's a little bit inaccurate. Starting with Stage. First of all, what was Kojima doing in the 6th gen if there was no meaningful stories from back in the 6th gen? Like, he is a pioneer for a reason from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Like,
no,
that,
I'm saying. Oh, sorry.
yeah, that right there is that. Then you have FF10. Well, but that's a different thing.
I had already said that like Japanese games were the ones that were actually like the good stories.
Right, true. Even though, Jak and Daxter wasn't so bad.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Back then it was more about gameplay because they all weren't on level with Kojima at all. Like Sony caught up to them, I think, in the PS3 era.
Oh, you got a crazy, bro, you got crazy noise in the back, dog.
I had the damn ice cream machine. I'm trying to get in the house, man.
Damn, you have a lot of noise.
I see your point, though. I see your point, though. You have a good point.
But, yeah. So, when I see what this whole criteria for the Game of the Year thing, first of all, this is my whole ultimate argument, and I almost want to just body beat or uppercut gamers that put the TGA up there as if it's something definitive. That is one of 400 plus, maybe 500 Game of the Year awards given out on a yearly basis. Think about that. Why do gamers go and they flock to just Jeff Keighley's show? No disrespect to him. But that show is literally trying to be what
The Oscars, it glamorized it.
Yeah, it's.
That's what it is. Everybody goes.
Hey, y'all.
Lost to
I'm fine. My fault. But yeah,
you're 100% right.
yeah, and at the point, it's great. It is absolutely great because gamers need that type of love. You know, that type of exposure to the general world. But, I got a little issue with that. Simi Liu, when he was the presenter of the award, he's looking on his phone right when they're about to call up, like, oh, okay. So this the nerd shit, but you playing Shang-Chi. But, he gave a dick for that one. Gamer shit. But, like, Game of the Year is entirely so subjective, but the main thing that I feel as if these publications look at is the total package of things. Now, some things can be flawed, be simplistic, but the overall package, if it's great at the sum of its parts, then the whole should be like, okay, this is a masterpiece. For example, for me, I don't hold The Last of Us Part 2 to be a masterpiece because of the main thing that everybody had mentioned is the story. The storytelling in that is entirely like, I don't know, I could almost make my own space to talk about the issues with that, but
let's do that.
It's a lot of really, I would say, pro-subjective, my issues with the story. Some people loved it, some people hated it. That's one thing. And I would knock it down 2 points to just, if I was to put it to a 10-point scale, to give it an 8. Knock it down 2 points just to give it an 8. The combat, everything was like, well-rounded and done, but no. And I'm the one, just on the topic of just.
Look, wait. Before you go on, I'm on a tight schedule. I'm so sorry, man. If you could just consolidate everything.
No. I'm wrapping it up. I just feel as if we're going to give Game of the Year on that, it should be our own things, not with any publication. It's not putting the Game Awards as the main thing. It makes the most money. It's the most viewership. Fine. It's nothing but one award out of 4. If we're going to do that, what about the BAFTAs? What about GDC? What about all of that? Those are industry, Game of the Year awards, but that's another thing. But, that was just my piece for, that on Game of the Year. So, you can go ahead. I'll go ahead and put out the music, get you back on track with the show. You feel me?
I want to say this, right? So because I wanted to ask you about the second topic here. So, but I want to say this. What pisses me off, and this is just a statement. What pisses me off about Game of the Year, right, is that it gets used out of context so much to fuel these corny ass fucking, what do you call it, console war shits. That's what bothers me the most. But it's funny because racing games don't get game of the year, you know, because it doesn't have that character. Like you were saying before, stage, it's based off of realism. You know what I mean? And it's based off of cars. Like you can't relate to a fucking car. You know what I mean? You know, so people are not going to really feel that kind of way. And we've moved so far away from games because these games now are becoming like movies essentially. You know what I mean? People are treating games like movies. So the more cinematic it looks, the more likely it will be game of the year, which is unfortunate. You get games that are flawed game of the years for why, like, you know what I'm saying, because it's pop culture. I guarantee you, if Elden Ring didn't have that name attached to it, it wouldn't have gotten the type of praise that it have gotten. I guarantee you. People really thought that he wrote the whole story and crafted it and all this other shit. There was a lot of double backing when it came to the gameplay stuff, because when you do an open world game, there's some things, yeah, people like the whole freedom, but there's some things that you can't just do. The world is too large for that. But we're going to go on to the second topic, which is, I'm going to call inclusion and representation, right? If you didn't know, I'll tell you, Square Enix is under fire right now, right? Only due to the fact that, this is why they're under fire, because the Final Fantasy 16 doesn't have any black people in there. And my question to you, Stranded, is, do you think that inclusion and representation stifles creativity?
On that, I don't think that that's a very simple conversation to have, but to simply say it shouldn't stifle game creation, but it shouldn't stifle it, not at all. It should make it more rounded, you know, being able to tell different stories or have different characters or have, you know, different scenarios and plot devices and whatnot, but it should not be something that stifles it unless, I believe the point you could be making is that that's the focus of the design and everything, of having this type of character, or we have to have this, we got to beat this down into this particular thing, and that's when it becomes a problem. That's where it's like the only identity is, okay, this person is just black dude and all that. And bad enough as it is, black characters in games aren't really represented to the Eastern developers as much as what we would like for them to do. And as far as this whole thing with Yoshi P making his statements, I'm a little indifferent. I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like a little bit insulting in a sense for me personally, and in the fact that black people should have their own thing. Just because it's a medieval thing, yes, there were black people in the medieval times. There was the Moors, the Saracens, you know, those groups from North Africa to have invaded Spain and conquered Spain for almost 300 years. Yeah, we have our own stories. We have our own thing. We should not be, you know, as just speaking as a black man right here, we should not be wanting to be at the table just because it's someone else's thing. We could have our own. Problem is, in general, just to end the tangent, we need to have more black folks that are in game development. Now to conclude this whole issue of inclusion, it can be a problem if that's what your whole goal and intend to speak on in regards to inclusion and all that. But it's just a hard conversation to have because we have, you know, multiple groups of individuals and their stories, and they wish to be had, and should be that they should be included because not because of that particular thing. Like if they are LGBT, if they're black women, or it should be because they're a well-written character. This whole push for inclusivity within everything is really demeaning to the people of those particular groups, and that's where I'm at with it.
Now, before you go on, I know, what is it? DJ, yo, I know you wanted to speak on the first topic about Game of the Year. What you got to say about that, and then we can move on to the.
I feel like Elden Ring might. I think either it's gonna be a tie or Elden Ring might get it, and I'm gonna say this: Sekiro got it a couple the year after God of War, so
that's cool.
Who over here doing the whisper song?
Go on, man. Go on. Go on, man.
Like, man. So what I was saying was like, I feel like with the Game of the Year thing, I mean, it'll come down to, is God of War really up to the hype like they say it is? And I feel like Sekiro won it. I don't think that year really had that much competition in 2019, but I think it's going to be between Elden Ring and God of War. And I don't think they're just going to give it to God of War just because, God of War. I think Elden Ring for a new IP and for a Souls game was arguably the biggest game, the biggest new IP of this year, right? So for it to sell what it sold for being a Souls game, we've never seen that. Like, that is insane on how big Elden Ring. You have people that suck at Souls game, probably didn't even make it past the first couple areas by that game, and is still probably trying to beat that game as we speak, right? So it's really gonna come down to how fast, because you gotta think, you only got 1 month. So, which if I forget how many did Elden Ring, was it 6 million or 13 million? I forget how fast it sold in a month.
It was like 13 million or something like that. But realize it was tied to Game of Thrones too. So like, I don't think like if that name wasn't tied to him to the Elden Ring, I don't think it would have sold that.
And Miyazaki too. So
Miyazaki was always tied to those things, and everybody knew about it. But when you threw in that Game of Thrones dude, which is one of the biggest franchises of all time, it moved over to that.
Facts. So it's gonna come down to how fast between now and the Game Awards, because it's got exactly 1 month, and I don't know if it's they even gonna count God of War Ragnarok for this year. It may be.
No, it is. It is this year. It met the mark.
Okay. Well, that's cutting it way too low. I feel like once you get to November, you should count November games for the next year.
It's unfair. It's definitely unfair. It's an unfair advantage because God of War is going to be fresh in people's mind. Now, I do think it will win it because God of War, from what I'm hearing and what I saw, is a much more polished game than Elden Ring, like altogether. You know what I mean?
We'll see. Because I feel like with Elden Ring, it was more accessible of a Souls game being an open world. So even
but you're looking at the gameplay. I'm talking about polished. There's no real flaws with performance.
It did have some issues there.
And I'm like, look. It wasn't, to me personally. I can fuck with a 30 frames per second game and be happy with it. That type of issue doesn't ever bother me.
I'm talking about as a full package. Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok are neck and neck. You know what I'm saying? And if Sekiro, let's just be real, if Sekiro didn't get delayed, it would have been the same conversation in 2018.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Why not Horizon Forbidden West? Why is that not in the conversation?
But Horizon is in the conversation too. Right?
It isn't though. It isn't.
We just talking about between.
No. I said Game of the Year, and Horizon is not a part of this conversation at all.
Well, I think a lot of people is doing that because you got the you got the console warriors.
No,
And
because they could have
gotta take
they could have used Horizon. It looks really fucking good. It plays really well. It has a almost near perfect 60 frames per second mark. It has unlocked frame rate that's like 80, 90 frames a second. And still no. What I was proposing, you may have missed it, is that the only quantifying factor nowadays is if your game has a really good fucking storyline and it has good acting. If you have those two things, you're basically game of the year. Which is unfortunate.
I mean,
I said that was unfortunate. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying it's not supposed to be that way. But with these big,
well, that's what I said. Sekiro won 2019. So, like I said, it didn't really. It had a story, but it wasn't as deep. Like you same thing with Elden Ring. The Souls games have a story, but it's never like the.
And it's not. It's not in your. It's not in your.
Wanted to be there.
It's not in your face, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People are sitting there.
Can I answer? Can I go ahead and address some things with DJ? First of all, brother, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm good.
All right. First,
I'm good.
Sekiro does have a very good story. It's not like the Souls games. It has it tells it straight out.
It does.
It does.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying from what we talking about is it's not moment to moment. Like it might be okay. I go to this. I go through. Cause I'm gonna be real. I didn't get that far. I got to like.
Oh, brother, it's moment to moment, bro. When you fight.
No, but
Y'all cutting out. Yo, oh, there you go.
When you fight,
he was getting it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the first game I platinum. Oh, dang, we botting here. Well, I'm botting.
No, I can hear you. I think he was saying that he was going through some sort of overpass or something like that. What did you want to address before we go into the inclusion thing? Can you hear me?
My fault. My fault. I had to go cut my Wi-Fi back one, but Sekiro is not like the conventional game. It's not a Souls game, number one, because the way the combat flows is actually something no other game I've played ever really did that. Like being an active parrier and everything. And as great as that game was, if we were to do, I'm going to take one thing back. I said that Game of the Year is, and this is correct. But the only objective criteria of what the absolute game of that year is the Game Awards blog, where it tracks each and every game of the year that a game wins. Sekiro came in third in 2019. And Death Stranding won 115 awards that year and was crowned the overall game of the year. And that's also going back further with that, but like I mentioned again, Jeff Keighley's show, love it, shouldn't be taken as a de facto game of the year. That's just my thing.
Yeah, well, that's how. Yeah, that's how I feel like it. I feel like it too, but that ain't gonna change anything, man. People want the console war with cake. You.
Yeah, you are go for the easiest thing that's more in their face. That's seems to be official.
What's up,
and
bro?
That's how Jeff Keighley did a great job of selling his award show. Even though Stranding is correct, he's very correct. But he's been doing this since like 2010 or even earlier than that. So I mean, it's cemented in people's mind.
Yeah. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to the inclusion. Reese, what's going on, man? He said, "Oh, you sending super chaps to the stream with your shirt off like Alex." I'm better looking than Alex, though. That's the problem. Either way, right? I wanted to address a couple of things that you said, Stranded. Are you able to hear me? Stranded, are you there?
No, he's out. He dropped out.
He dropped out.
I think he might come back.
Add you as a speaker. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So I wanted to address what he said earlier regarding inclusion. Because the funny thing is this, I keep, especially in the black community, which is extremely infuriating. And I'm going to say some things unapologetically as a black man. You cannot force anybody to to place you or your people inside of a game. You cannot do that. You can't. If that's the case, right? Since we're talking about exaggerated fiction, I know people will be like, well, that's based on reality. Okay, fine. Well, all right. What is that? The woman king or whatever the case is, put some white people in there. Just mix it up real quick. You know, not while we at it. Just put them in there a little bit. And then the argument goes to, well, they've already been represented all the time. Let us have a thing. Then you go out there and make your movie. I am on the side of art. I do art in general. I used to do art in school. I did like 4 years of this shit. I've always done art. This is the problem. People sit there and they will want this is a noun thing. They want inclusion and shit like that when it was never really a fucking problem in the first place. People are going online crying about this shit. If the story does not call for a different fucking race to be in this fantasy that they're trying to create, then it doesn't call for it. And they don't need to throw other races in there. Period. It's very irritating because Square Enix don't want to get fucking blasted. Oh shit, and most companies too. They're like, oh shit, what do I gotta do here? Shit. Our story was about Europe, right? How do we put black people in it? Shit. Well, let's just say this. It's so stupid. It's dumb. You know what I'm saying? And the industry not having a lot of black people, gaming industry not having a lot of black people, especially in this day and age, is a non-issue. Let's just keep it a fucking buck. Black people don't want to make games like that. Typically, they don't. Black people don't want to make their story. They have other things that they are interested in. Every race has their own type of thing that they like.
Oh, we're coming up. It's just gonna take time, bro. Comic books, anime, it's starting to see.
That's fine. That's fine. Like what's the guy name is Young Ripper,
but
right?
That's gonna take time though. Yeah.
The guy name is Young Ripper, right? He's a black dude and he makes his own comics, right?
Yeah, of course.
You can't say anything about it, right? Because he's making his own black comic.
Exactly.
What the problem is?
You have Everborn, who we talked to.
You know what I mean? What the problem is?
What do you mean?
Just people's issues in general. It's annoying. Here's the thing, right? Because people were getting on
gaming is different, but yeah, you're right.
People were getting on Japanese people for making distinctive European characters in their game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they hate themselves because they keep making white characters and they don't even like black characters and shit like that. Why are they doing that shit? I don't understand. You can't say that you can say that they're racist, right? But people people think that black people can't be racist for some reason, which they can. They're fucking racist against their own people. I've seen that shit too. If you're too dark skinned, you're racist against that shit. If you're too light skinned, if you're too light skinned, they don't like you for that fucking shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've seen people in my family pick a light skinned dude over a dark skinned dude because they wanted pretty kids. Or light eyes, what they call it, or pretty hair, or whatever the fuck it is. And then they all refer to their hair as nappy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to talk?
Can I respond to something you said though?
Yeah, go on, man.
I think that you're dealing with a culture that is homogenous, right? So the thing about it is that we come from especially in the West, the countries that have come up and has a lot of integration of many different cultures in there, it tends to be an issue over there because they want everybody else around the world to be exactly the same way that they are. Well, sadly, that it doesn't work that way in Japan.
So you told me why do they? So you told me why do they, right? Why do they make their characters look white?
Well, a lot of their characters. Well, the thing is, in anime, there's.
Can you just answer that question, please?
Between a white character and a
Can you just answer? Just answer it directly.
Yeah, in a video game specifically.
Video games, since we're on video games, yes.
Well, I mean, Japanese people have taken in a lot of Western content for years and have been competing with Westerners for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, a lot of the things the inspirations they get from a competitive level tends to come from a pure white standpoint when they're looking at European content or American content. You know, it goes all the way back to Disney and Russia and Japan making cartoons. You know. And you know, either way, when you're looking at those two things, Russia and America are still making primarily content for a white viewership even back then. You know, so at the same time, they have a long history of you know, taking in white content made by white people from no matter where it was, you know, at the time. So if they want to get content from black people, they need a strong source, it seems, that they can you know, take things in from. If you're in America, I can understand because of the fact that in America we have a more integrated society and we have a lot of people in the industry influencing developers and things like that, and actually being developers in games because these are huge team projects, and of course they're helmed by mostly white people.
All right, I'm gonna hold on, because you're getting into like storytelling time. Why are there white characters in their own manga in Japan? They're not in any competition in the West. Why is that?
No, yeah, they are. They are.
No, they're not.
They're competing, dude. They're competing with. Okay, they don't compete as JRPGs, Western RPGs, but as video games, they have a very strong interest in
Japan. Is there anything in Japan that is Western that sells better? Other than the iPhone, than any other thing in Japan.
I don't think it sells good in the West.
Do you have cartoons in Japan that sells better than manga or anime from the West?
I can't tell you that.
Then you can't speak on it. And the answer is no.
Dude, I'm just saying that competition is based on the actual.
You're talking about competition in the West. I'm talking about exclusively in Japan.
Yeah, but they are inspired by one another.
They are. Look, in Japan, in Japan.
Yeah.
They are in competition with themselves in other manga.
Yes.
Okay.
They do things their way, yes, but they watch and they look at us for inspiration in the West as well. And you can see it in a lot of anime and a lot of video games as well.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Yes, sir.
I like you said earlier, listen. We have to go out here and we have to make our own. We have to promote, champion our own games in order for us to get the inclusion that we want. And that's why you already know, listen, that I want to speak on it because it all goes hand in hand. And until we get some good, solid indie, black indie devs.
They did. They made Kana.
I mean, I'm talking about to where we have like more than one. I know it's a couple out there, but what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you mean like a plenty? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a handful of them now, right? So that's what I said about having the media, where it's just like you got a couple different websites where you got nothing but black folks and people of color leading the charge, and then you have the indie developers, and then you have indie publishers, you know, on a scale of like a Devolver Digital, but for black creators, and then we'll see that. But honestly, as far as Final Fantasy 16 and all of that, I don't even really think I really tripped off of having inclusion in games because I'm more so there for the story, right? Because like Kratos is
It's Greek.
a Spartan, right? But he's voiced by two black men. You know what I'm saying? T.C. Carson and I forgot the brother who plays him now.
Christopher Judge.
But we got two brothers that's, you know what I'm saying, that's voicing him. We've had Keith David voice several video game characters. We've had different we've had representation in game. They might not have been playing a black character per se, but we've had brothers. I think the brother, if I'm not mistaken, Ansem from Kingdom Hearts was a brother. I might be wrong on it, but I gotta double check. But we've had brothers that are VO. We have brothers who have done
fucking what's his name? Star Wars. Fucking Darth Vader was voiced by a black man.
James Earl Jones, Dwayne McDuffie. He did the animated series for Batman. He also did. He created Static Shock. You know what I'm saying? So we've had representation. We just haven't had our own insular pipeline where, like I said, we have media, we have promotion, developers and publishers go hand in hand. That's the only thing that we're missing is that component. And if we had that component, then we would pretty much be unstoppable as far as if we want to see black folks in games, right?
See, I want to. Let me say this, right? In the U.S., right? I'm gonna go back to Japan since we're talking about Square Enix. In Japan, right? I'm sorry, in the U.S., we make up 13%. 13% of the population. If you are going to accurately represent black people, it ain't gonna be that many. You know what I'm saying? In any game or any media, if you really want to do it. Same thing with LGBT.
But what I'm saying is, if you have this circle that I'm describing, right, and listen.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying, and I believe it.
But that's what I'm saying. You make it. That's what the purpose of that is. So I don't understand, like,
why people are tripping. You're saying why people are tripping?
No, that's what I'm saying. They tripping because for what? Why are we tripping? The only time I feel like we should trip in that aspect is if a black person decides that they want to cosplay or draw or whatever, and somebody is like somebody of another race is criticizing or hating or being evil towards them. That's what we should have criticism. Because Final Fantasy has had people of color. I mean, Barrett Wallace is one of the probably one of the best black characters in video games, and he wasn't written. I mean, he's still written by a Japanese brother.
He's one of the. When I
played the remake in that script, and the brother that they picked to play Barrett. I didn't even think about it at that point that I was even playing a Final Fantasy game. Like, I was so engrossed in that story. I'm like, damn. I'm glad they remade it because now I get the tension that was between him and Cloud. I got the tension, the pride that he had. He was like, look, we all in this together because, you know, before the war, it was racism and stuff in Midgar and everything else like that. But he was one of the people that said, hey, yo, we got to get together against Shiver. Like, instead of fighting against each other, we gotta fight the power. We gotta rage against the machine. You know what I'm saying? In the game. So it didn't even cross my mind like, okay, this is a Japanese writer, Japanese animator, Japanese studio in that game. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Let me read some stuff that. Fuck. Okay. Let me read some stuff that people were saying. Someone says this, and I go to Stone. Stone has also made some comments here. What's going on, Jemiah? Wait, I'm confused. I don't think a lot of Japanese media primarily focuses on white people. It usually centers on Japanese people, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. People are going to see characters in anime with blonde hair and blue eyes, and they are going to, assume that they're white, Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? He goes on and says, I think you have more inclusion of not just black people, but also women and queer people in the industry, and you'll inevitably see more representation. The thing is this, right? Oh, also Stone says some shit too. Hold on. Let me read what Stone said. Get the fuck. There we go. Okay. When it comes to representation with race or gender or sexual orientation, I think the biggest thing is people are trying to force it, so then it's vastly misrepresented. It needs to be organic. See, people will come at you. They'll come at your next Stone for saying something like that. What the fuck is organic? Which is stupid to me. I'm with you on it, though. The source needs to be legit. If you force all these white companies to write people of color, they don't know the source material. Support the creators you want to be more represented in, and they can climb the ladder into bigger companies. I'm a woman. Of course, I'm not a woman, but I'm just reading somebody. Men often misrepresent us because they simply do not know. I'm white, and I will never be able to write a true character of color because I simply don't know. So here's the thing, right? And I'll let Baby go after this, right? You mentioned before that, you should be able to make your own character if that's the case. You should. There are a lot of black gamers out there, but these black gamers do not want to make games. They don't want to make games. I'm sorry to say, but a lot of black gamers play sports games, so they will never make a character or a game with the storyline and stuff like that. They play 2K and shit like that. That's what most of the black people are playing. That's just what it is. That's statistically proven. And it's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but it is what it is. I don't think you should force anything on anybody. Period. I don't think so. I think that if people can sit there and gather money making these shitty ass rap songs or OnlyFans and be black, they should be able to invest their money on that. On something else when they get the money. That's what I personally believe. As harsh as that sounds, if you really want to have games where people are representing you accurately, then do it yourself. There are some cases like, what the fuck is it? Sucker Punch. They are so enthralled in the culture of Japan that they made Ghost of Tsushima and nailed it.
Exactly, and it made Japanese game developers jealous.
I don't mind if you know the fucking culture, then do it. If you know what it is, go right ahead and do it. Knock yourself out if you know how to do it. If you know the culture. If somebody lived in Philadelphia, a white guy, fuck it, an Asian guy, if he lived in Philadelphia for all his life and decided to write a culture about black people. As a matter of fact, the writer for fucking Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is fucking white. And he had all sorts of people of color saying nigga this and nigga that. No one said a motherfucking thing. I feel like we're making such a big deal out of inclusion and shit like that nowadays than it's ever been a problem. You had a game that had almost an all-black cast, and it was one of the biggest selling games of all time. I don't want to hear that shit talk about something. It's so hard. I can't make a game because they keep me down on how the fuck the Grand Theft Auto do it. There was a game called Starhawk, right? Starhawk was led by a fucking black dude. I don't want to hear it.
Listen.
Yeah.
GTA San Andreas, the story, the premise was written by Stan and Dan Houser, but the script was written by DJ Pooh, and he consulted also for GTA 5 as well. And they did that because they knew.
We talking about San Andreas, not GTA 5, right?
I'm talking about for both of them.
Yeah, I do know that the Hauser brothers, or for whatever the people the guys that make Grand Theft Auto, they knew their lane and they consulted gang members to say like.
No, they did, but I'm talking about DJ Pooh, who is a producer for Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and everybody else, right? He wrote the script for San Andreas. Like, they wrote the story and the outline, but he wrote the script. And they did that because, like you said, they did go through some field research. They went to California. They had him drive, him and another guy drive him around Compton and in different neighborhoods, so that they interviewed people and stuff like that. But DJ Pooh wrote the actual script. They wrote the outline. They wrote the synopsis or whatever of the story, right? And how they wanted it to go. But the script, the lines and everything else, he did the casting, directing. That's why you got Young Melee, which is related, who's related to Solo, who is I forget his real name, but he plays Franklin in GTA 5, and DJ Pooh also came back to consult for Franklin's story as well. So all the stuff.
I mean, but I get you. And the thing is that I
was just putting it out there, like you said, but because we complain about that, but the people, when they do involve black folks, they consult with the people who are in the culture. Like Anthony Mackie is gonna be Axel in the Twisted Metal series. You know,
I mean, but Anthony Mackie does any fucking thing for money. That nigga kissed a dude, and he's not.
Oh man, let's not do that one, man.
Did he not kiss a? Did he not kiss a dude?
I mean,
did he?
I mean,
did he kiss a dude? I just want to ask that question. Did he?
He's a
but
actor.
Did he kiss a dude?
So
did he kiss a dude?
I'm not finna discredit.
But here's the thing. Right? Hold on. Wait. Right? Let's get it, right? If you were an actor and they gave you $5 million, would you kiss a dude?
No.
Okay. I'm not discrediting him. He'll do what it takes for the money. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say anything wrong.
You talking about for Alta Carmen? What was the other show that was on? I never watched it.
It was Black Mirror. It was Black Mirror. That's what it was.
Black Mirror. Oh, okay. So let me say this about that. I'm not gonna discredit his acting ability and the fact that.
I didn't discredit him. I didn't discredit him. I'm just telling you what he did.
I'm just saying the fact that he is Captain America, and he's also going to be Axel in the Twisted Metal series. And these are people who, like, Anthony Mackie is, despite of his acting roles or whatever, you know what I'm saying? He's from Louisiana. I believe Axel is from Louisiana, and y'all know the story with his daughter and the reason why he ended up in the wheel, in that wheel car or whatever, with his arms and everything trapped in there. Like, the fact that we do have people in the industry who consult when they get ready to make a game or whatever around a person of color or a black person, they actually go most of the time. You know what I'm saying? I don't think for Starhawk they consulted anybody. They wrote the character the way
they didn't need to, because again, it's a futuristic type game. It doesn't require like a particular culture. It's just, you know what I mean. They didn't really need to. Baby, what you got to say about this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as far as representation goes, I say with games nowadays, the representation is there, but it's not there. There's always room for improvement. And a lot of times the problem kicks in when it comes to creating characters that are, or for people of color, usually the problem kicks in when they don't know how to write that character, or how the character should act, or in general, or it always comes down to like probably like poor decisions when making a character that is black, or any other race, to where it comes to a point where it's like stereotypical. So what could really solve this problem really is what mostly everybody was saying, like more developers, more people, more diverse developers, and developers in general being more comfortable with writing black characters, because obviously you just said it. Perfect example. Sucker Punch, a Western studio, did Ghost of Tsushima. Like if you study the culture and you making a game, for this character, like you can do it. You can create a character outside your race.
But let me just pause you really quickly. The thing about Sucker Punch is that they already liked Japanese culture. It wasn't even a thing. You know what I mean? They wanted to do it. They weren't forced to do it. That's the difference. See what's happening with social media is that there's people are forcing these companies to put black or other people in, and they weren't supposed to be written for that particular story. That's the problem.
I agree. You shouldn't want to.
If you wrote a story, right? But then people are attacking Square Enix for this shit. If you wrote a story,
which they shouldn't,
and they shouldn't, but the same thing with the Little Mermaid. Everybody's like, "Oh, make her black." Like, make another fucking character. How about that?
Yeah, but yeah, like they're attacking Square Enix, but it's unjustified because like whatever their reason behind be, it's their decision. But are you just going to ignore the fact that Square Enix has a game literally coming out next year?
I'm looking at it now on my YouTube channel, which is being streamed now, listed on Spot. I'm literally showing that shit now. Like literally, people, the same company that has an all white cast is making a game with a black main protagonist. Like you don't need to put you don't need to have inclusion for everything because it doesn't cost for everything. If that's the case, all right, cool. Throw some white motherfuckers in the Black Panther. You know what I mean? Ask Jordan Peele to start putting white people in his movies. If that's the case, if you want to have it both ways, then do it that way. Because Jordan, he's not going to do that shit and make them main characters because he's the creator of it, and no one gets on his ass for that shit. No one gets on his ass, and you shouldn't. You make the story that you want to fucking make. If it's a story about fucking white people, it is. If I want to make a story about fucking Asian people, then I should be able to do it. I don't have to put anything else in there. It's my creative freedom. And you look at a game like Tomb Raider, the old Tomb Raider. It's my if I made a Lara Croft, right, with big titties, big ass, small waist, nice thighs and shit like that, that's my fucking imagination of what the fuck I wanted. I shouldn't have to dumb it all down because somebody feels uncomfortable with it. Don't buy the game muted and be done with it.
Yeah, but in the West, that would be a huge issue.
I'm not talking about my issue, right?
Today, that is.
My issue is this, right? Is I'm not talking about if it's an issue or not. I'm talking about what it should be, not if it is. We know that it's an issue.
I understand that. It was a good point.
No. I'm agreeing with us, but it's a bad issue that you're forcing anyone to do what you want them to do. There is no real reason for it. Hey, guess what? I'm picking up Final Fantasy 16. Like I picked up any other fucking manga or anime or any other fucking game I wanted to pick up. I picked up Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not fucking Japanese in any stretch of the imagination. But I like the culture. You shouldn't force these companies to do all sorts. I cannot believe Kotaku and all these fucking companies are making a big deal of it. You know why?
No, but Kotaku is very politically motivated. You know that.
Mm-hmm. They're doing it for.
It's one of the reasons why they should not even be addressed half the time, because they'll turn anything into a game of politics.
Which is crazy. I looked at that shit and people are going to run with it the same way that they ran with a whole bunch of other retarded shit that's on Twitter and shit like that. They ran with a whole bunch of shit because they want likes and engagement, and saying something that seems like the right thing to do. It should be black people and all people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But then have a problem with my God. You're not going to have the representation that you are looking for if you're a social justice warrior because there's not that many black people in the United States and there's not that many black people in the field. Just like they tried to in Sweden make women do stem cell research. They don't want to fucking do it. Point blank. And you shouldn't be forcing people to do shit that they don't want to do. I don't know why that's a hard concept for people. Why is that difficult?
Yeah, but that just goes to show right there, as you said with the gentleman said with Ghost of Tsushima, that's one culture working on something for like a project that like a passion project for some a culture that they like, and they're putting something that's accurate based on historical data and stuff like that. They can go back to that. The Japanese, they love that game. They were actually, some developers were quite jealous. I think that's one of the reasons why, like a Dragon, they're doing what they're doing. But Square Enix, like you can tell in a lot of their games, they have a lot of interest in Western mythology, especially like medieval games. Final Fantasy, of course, is very futuristic, which is why I can see them putting a lot of a little bit more diversity in there. Final Fantasy 13, they had a black character in there. But those are futuristic games, But this with this game, artistically, they seem to want to go back to a medieval era, and within that medieval era, of course, there's no Japanese people. There's just white people. So I mean,
in that specific area, which is funny because it's like. They want to tell a specific story, point blank, period.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, if we're talking about Kotaku, I mean, we can just move on. Sorry.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Yep. I'll say this. I feel like I said before, we can be the change that we want to see if it really matters to us about inclusion. But right now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was, I feel like we have to be the change that we want to see in order for us to get that inclusion. But I don't want to say I never thought about it. But I think more so about it in Hollywood more than I do in games, because I know that we don't have the manpower, or we don't have the talent or the development teams in games yet. I mean, that'll change because there's more and more black people getting into, and people of color getting into tech. That's just a wait and see. You know what I'm saying? And for now, like I said, we can continue to carve out different communities of black and people of color as far as content creators, websites, outlets, and making that be cool so that those people that are in tech that are coming up, they'll know, hey, I got somewhere to showcase my work or showcase my game or my movie or my music that's black owned, you know what I'm saying, or people are owned by people of color, you know what I'm saying. So the other thing, like we was talking about earlier, as far as game of the year and everything, a lot of these things are subjective, as they are. Like the one brother said, it is, the inclusion is there, but it also isn't there. And I feel like for the companies that get it, like the Rockstars, the Sucker Punches, hell, even Naughty Dog, I feel like they've always had people of color represented, women represented well in their games. So, and that's just evident in the product. When something is tacked on or force fed down, it's never necessarily a good product. But if it's a A1 quality product, like I said with Barrett, with Barrett Wallace and Final Fantasy and Kratos throughout the entire God of War franchise, you're going to get lost in that character or lost in that story, and the race isn't going to necessarily matter. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come down to the game, the actual product in the game itself. So for the people that are getting upset about it, like I said, if a person of color wants to represent themselves as their character cosplay or they're drawing it or whatever, and there's racism or whatever that's coming uh, due to that, then we address that. But everything else, it'll just happen in due time.
Yeah, I think that, and the thing about that you bring up GTA, one of the reasons it comes up so much is because GTA is culturally became a phenomenon because it is literally a window to an exaggeration, a satire of American culture, in and of itself. So it's doing its job in spades by hiring people in communities, in comedy, having comedy writers get involved. Jason Sudeikis, I think, was also writing and involved in from SNL. He was involved in writing for those games too. So I mean, it has a very large cast of people who are involved in making this huge project that is supposed to represent a general, like a stereotype of America in and of itself. So.
Jemiah, what you gotta say about this shit before we close out? On that,
Yo.
What's going on, bro?
Yeah,
Long time no here.
Yo. I just wanted to say a couple things. Like, I find it funny that, like, nobody says, like, we need more representation in football or basketball, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, let black people do what they want to do. Why does everybody need to be in gaming? You know what I mean? If black people don't want to make games, don't want to become developers, let them do other shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're represented in a lot of other places, entertainment, sports, shit like that. There are black scientists and fucking engineers and shit, but guess what? They're doing other shit. They're not making games. I don't understand why every time there's this huge push to be like, we need actual black people doing this. White people are making movies and entertainment, and other people are making representations of us just fine, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, is it cool? Like, I think, like, the guy from Santa Monica's black. There's a couple, black devs and shit here and there that are prominent, but it's like, if dudes want to play basketball and go make fucking millions of dollars doing that, let them do that. I don't understand why we have to have these black, game developers now and have all this nonsense. Like, why?
We never had any fucking issue when it came to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I feel like the more they apply pressure to these companies, the worse it fucking gets. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to make your own fucking story, however way you see fit. If you want to be a feminist or whatever the case is, you want to make that kind of story, fine. Whoever want to buy it, then they buy it. If you want to be a misogynist and make that crazy ass story, fine. Whoever want to fucking buy it. And if I wanted, a girl with fucking the H titties and shit like that and a big ass BBL for my main character, whatever. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it. It's not needed. These stories and these mediums have been successful regardless. People are making a big fucking deal out of it to get brownie points and likes on social media. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's fake outrage at its finest.
It comes really down. It is political brownie points, but at the same time, it's also a belief system that people do have, and everybody has to have their opinion heard, whether they agree or not. A lot of people are trying to force the industry to go in their direction, and that's it depends on who's willing to hear, and that will affect their games. That's where I guess the kind of isolated argument between the gaming community and those people, those social, I guess you call them social justice warriors, whatever. I don't know what these terms are, but that argument is between them and those people, and it seems to be affecting games. If it does help games, maybe so. If it doesn't, then of course we'll let that be known and actually supporting these games. If you, as you said before, if you want to buy them, you can buy it. If you don't want it, you don't have to. So I mean, again, it's art. Is it art for art's sake? We can make an argument about that as well. At the end of the day, we know for sure it's commercial. So, and it's affected by commercial events. If we were to let things be art for art's sake, we'd probably be a much more culturally enriched people. And you know, with the internet, it makes it very hard for that to be the case.
Jemiah, I have one more thing to ask you. Right? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still on.
What do you say about what makes a game of the year? Game.
I say a game of the year. It has to be it has to be top and like major things like story, visuals, performance, gameplay. You know what I mean? It needs to be like a cultural thing too. Like it needs to which Elden Ring has. I know that's the fucking elephant in the building, but it needs to be the best. It needs to be the best or at the best at that time. You know what I mean? So like I think games that do not hit on all cylinders should not be game of the year. You just can't have one thing that's good and you be considered game of the year. Like I don't believe that. I think the game needs to be representing like pushing forward gaming, next gen, as you say. It needs to be something that we haven't seen before. It has to really like blow people's minds. When a game comes out, you have to be like, oh my god, this is like one in a lifetime type of game. You know what I mean? I don't think besides Horizon Forbidden West, I don't think any game that's came out this year, even fucking God of War Ragnarok, that should be considered game of the year. Like that game has done things and is doing things that all these games are not doing. It is in the open world setting. It's just phenomenal. It's to me it's going to be above and beyond any type of metric you can say about what a game should be.
And honestly, that's and what do you? Last question here. What do you think about game of the year being based off of how they feel about a main character? Basically, that's how it's been doing it for the last like fucking 15 years.
I mean, how old is the VGAs? Because that's really what made this whole game of the year thing become like so solidified, right? People just defer to whatever the VGA say, as the game of the year, even before we had multiple outlets and things, making game of the years. But it's basically that, like, right? You fall in love with Arthur Morgan, or you fall in love with Kratos, or something like that. If you don't like the main character, like somehow everybody has a problem with Aloy. Like, I have no reason why they would, but like every single person has a problem with Aloy. She's this, she's that, she's not this, she's not that. And within the story, her personality makes sense if you're playing the story. I don't understand why you're trying to put outside shit into what she should be doing. She's raised as an outcast. She barely talks to people. So why would she be all a fucking happy-go-lucky talking to people, right? She's been missing her focus since she was a child, so she's very like computer-oriented. So she doesn't interact with people that much. So her personality reflects that in the game. People want these bombastic characters like Kratos, or they want these bigger than larger than life, Master Chief figures or whatever, and then like they get caught onto that and they fall in love with the character and that's it. And then the rest of the game does not matter sometimes, you know what I mean? And I think it's weird the way people do that, and they have all these biases when it comes to reviews and whatnot.
I think you were asking about what was the first VGAs. It was not known as the VGAs before, but it changed the name. It was the Spike Video Game Awards, and it started in 2000.
Okay, yeah. But it's like, why did that become de facto default Game of the Year award? Like, I don't consider any little Game of the Year the Game of the Year because there's so many of them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Of course. It's just people tend to flow to the actual product that puts it in their face more. Like, if there's an award show, again, like the Oscars and stuff like that, people consider that the de facto award show of the year because it's the one that they see. But there's plenty of award shows that for movies and stuff like that. Many for games as well. It's just that people, again, it's much easier for people to go to a slimmer selection of items than it is for them to go to a wide variety.
And I think it's terrible that Jeff Keighley uses that to fucking have a huge commercial every year. You know what I mean? Like, I think that shit is fucking. I know. I think he has to get his fucking advertisers and shit, but like the show doesn't need to be all fucking crazy either. Just show me these goddamn categories. Get these awards going. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro.
I get exactly what you're saying. I think it's that most people don't tend to put things into perspective, and they because they do that, they tend to have kind of tunnel vision. And for people who have nuanced thinking, they tend to be frustrated with the dialogue amongst most people. That's the problem. Did I hit any part of that?
No, I mean, I think honestly, like I said before we close out here, the reason why games are game of the year is because of how the characters make them feel. And that's the funny thing is, you know, how come God of War? I mean, how come Horizon is not a part of the conversation? You know what I mean? And going back to,
it's not a part.
It's not a part of the conversation, bro. It's not a part of the conversation. It's not. It's not.
See the nominees first.
It's not a part of the conversation. It's not.
We have to see the nominees.
We're talking about the conversation. Before, when Elden Ring came out, right? Horizon came out, then Elden Ring came out, right? Everybody was like, yo, wait till God of War drop. That's just gonna, it's gonna be to compete with Elden Ring. When Horizon Forbidden West is still the best game that come out. Nobody has really played God of War. They say that it should be a game of the year. You don't know shit. You know what I mean? Based on reviews, okay, maybe. But you haven't played the game. We have played Horizon, bro. We played Elden Ring. But people were saying before God of War was like in June or some shit, people were already saying God of War versus Elden Ring. They left Horizon completely out since the beginning. When Horizon looks better than Elden Ring, in every single category, that shit beats it. Every single one. Besides maybe, pick writer enjoyment. I don't know, but other than that, like, the game is better. Like, nobody can deny that. If you do, you're just lying to yourself.
It really just comes down to impact. Like, as of right now, the only games that's really kind of making an impact is Elden Ring, and as of right now, God of War.
Should Among Us got Game of the Year? Should Fall Guys got Game of the Year? Those had huge impacts. Like, what do we talk about here? No, you can't make arguments to win your argument. When we talk about Game of the Year, there has to be a metric on what you consider to be a great thing in video games, right? So when you go through the categories, visuals, gameplay, performance, mocap, you got all this extra shit flying, everything you want, combat, and then Elden Ring, you're over here running around with a fucking PS3 looking game, slicing at ankles for fucking 9 hours, and then that's somehow game of the year because you can run around and map without a fucking checkpoint? No fucking way we doing this, bro. I don't give a fuck what impact it has. You just can't, because like, other games have bigger impact, and they never get fucked because they're multiplayer games, or whatever nonsense you want to claim. So let's not say that impact has to do something with the Game of the Year awards. It's about the best game, not about how people feel.
Well, it should be, yeah. But the thing is, human beings aren't always consistent, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, like, again, reviews, again, subjective, but even with the committee that they have, it tends to be a thing that, as I believe someone said before that, and who rightly said, who was speaking here, they were saying that the aggregate of all, well, not the aggregate, who gets the majority of the awards should technically be considered the Game of the Year winner by consensus. So the thing is that, like, if because of the fact that people put Game Awards on a pedestal, they consider that official. Is it? No, it's not. It's something in our mind that is essentially Jeff Keighley doing marketing at marketing's best. And he's been doing it for so many years that now it's basically just stuck, you know? So, I mean, you know, it should ultimately come down to you, but it's, and the thing is, we have this conversation literally every year. It never ends, you know?
But do you think It Takes Two should have won Game of the Year last year? I don't think so.
I think so.
No, it wasn't the best game that was made.
No, but I don't see that's the point of subjectivity. We can't argue subjectivity. We can just make a. Well, we can.
Oh, we can argue subject. We can argue points like graphics, like I said, fucking gameplay, animations. We can argue things that are technical about these games. So let's not go there either.
No, but we can make an argument for why we like it. It's just that we're not going to argue like something. Technical about the game that literally put it heads and tails above everyone else. No, what we can say is the things that they put into that game pushed the style of game forward. You know, and as far as co-op games are concerned, story-driven co-op games, and in the way that the Haze Light did it. And so I played that game, and man, that game was amazing. Like it hit me in a certain way. And it's not just the story itself. The story itself is great, but the way that it got you to team up with people. Sometimes you were frustrated, sometimes you were happy. It got you to actually, you have to literally work with the person you're with to get through wherever you are. And the thing is, the characters are embodying. It was literally like being involved in like a kind of like a Pixar movie, but like at the same time or no, not Pixar, more like DreamWorks. And so like you are involved in this kind of like tug of war to where you're either competing with each other or you're helping one another. And you at the end of the day, the story caps that off by basically having everything that you put together kind of like teach a lesson about working together. Rather than just the gameplay saying that itself. It came from all different aspects. It was all one big factor. And the thing is that I don't really play with the person that much anymore. But like it's like I have like a connection with that person still because of that game. So it's and every time we talk, it's built on that game.
But like, the thing is,
it was a co-op platform. Can we relax? Like, I get you had a fucking a black altering experience, but it's a platformer co-op. It wasn't the best game produced last year that came out to the Game Awards. Like Tales of Arise was probably the best game that came out that year, and it didn't even get a fucking nomination for Game of the Year. Like. They said this whole thing to me, the Game Awards is whatever, but I think people put too much like stock into the Game of the Years. Like you guys were saying earlier, like there's so many awards, but making Jeopardy the de facto Game of the fucking Year award thing, to me that's nonsense.
Because he worked his way to make it sure that it happened.
I get he did all the fucking production, but we as gamers are like, not me personally, but like. The majority of us are led to water like fucking horses. Like, I don't understand, like,
that's how
people
just,
like, these reviews came up for God of War, and all of a sudden, I got God of War, Game of the Year, like, why?
If we think individually, we'll make more conscious decisions. If we think as a group, we will always head to the same place.
The bottom line is this, right? This is the bottom line. People are actually reviewing the games, like the Game Awards, based off of fucking characters and not even gameplay. That's why God of War. That's why any other fucking game that came out, that's why they got it. We're not talking about what it should be. We're talking about what it is now, and it's a shame. That's what they're trying to do. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
Definitely. Well, actually, Jemiah, what did you think was better just before? Because again, I'm not going to argue the opinion because I agree that I thought all the games that were, Game of the Year. Oh, and before that, actually, I was going to say that. Yes, I understand that Horizon tends to get knocked out of contention, but this is not new. This is something that happened even last generation when that game broke out. It was one of the best games.
I know. Somehow that fucking shitty-ass Zelda game is fucking considered a Game of the Year.
Zelda effect. And there's basically the same Zelda effect hit Horizon Forbidden West. The same way Breath of the Wild knocked Horizon off again. And everybody's saying the same thing. Like, Horizon's not going to have a chance at Game of the Year because of Elden Ring. The same way they did with Zelda Breath of the Wild. And when Zelda Breath of the Wild got pushed back, everybody's like, okay, maybe it might have a chance. But Elden Ring came out, and then it was like...
fucking Emperor, Tears of the Emperor looks just like fucking Breath of the Wild. There's literally nothing different that they did, like, from what I've seen.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, people...
I'm just saying, though, like... This fucking shitty ass Switch game should not be considered for anything. When games are dropping under 30, right? When games are running sub 30, fucking 780p, whatever the fuck it runs at, and then you have this fucking glorious masterpiece on this shit. They fix everything you wanted, everything you ever dreamed about. You can fly fucking dinosaurs and shit, and then it gets to 88, and then you have a game like Zelda that does nothing new. You can cut grass and shit and light it on fire, I guess. I don't know. And then I get to like a 90 something. That's absurd, bro.
Yeah, but we haven't even gotten a deep dive into the next Zelda yet, though. So
it's the same shit. You think they're gonna have a fucking expansion pack from the fucking Switch? They're gonna add more frames? They're gonna add more fucking physics? No.
Yeah, but Jemai, I get what you're saying on a technical level, but you know that they're barred by the actual console itself, but do you actually think Nintendo is going to literally let the Zelda, their breakout game of the year, not have any form of upgrade to the actual like?
Bro, they freaking like what? Poured every Wii U game over the Switch. Nobody said shit. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like
these sell, but that's good business.
Nah, these Switch games.
Did you
like, look at Bayonetta. Look at Bayonetta. I know Mario Kart's for like 60 million, but Bayonetta like looks like a fucking goddamn PS1 game. Looks like shit. Runs like shit. But somehow it's an 88 or whatever. I don't understand that. Like, somebody explain to me where the fuck the 88 came from. If every game you're gonna be like, oh, it's got the nice poor performance, you got a huge knock on the score, but you let Bayonetta run like a flip book and everything's fucking still cool. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, they all things included. I mean, God of War was able to use the power of the PS5 from the of course, it was made for the PS4, but it was able to be amplified by the PS5, which also helped. Not only that, but they upgraded the gameplay. The story, they said, was a lot deeper than even the first game was. And there's many different aspects of this game that was more. You actually get to go through more realms this time, I believe they said, as well. So I mean,
but yet they gave it the same score though as fucking the first one.
What? Sorry. Say that again. Sorry.
God of War Ragnarok got a 94 just like the first game. So if they did all this other extra shit, the story's better, the game's longer, Kratos got a bigger dick, they got the same score. This is what I'm saying. None of these reviews of Game of the Years and shit even make any fucking sense within the own confines of reviewing. Everything is better, I'm gonna give it a less score or the same score. How does that make fucking sense? Like, this shit is so dumb sometimes.
So I'm gonna hold you to that. Let me ask you a question. Since you like to play devil's advocate, Sage, you there?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
You.
But Stage, can you agree with what I'm saying? Though, right though. Every review you see, like, oh, this is bad.
I got cut off. Sorry.
I said you have these reviewers coming out saying like these sequels are better in every single way possible, but yet they get the same score or a lesser score. So explain that to me.
No, I agree with you on Horizon. If it literally is heads and tails better than the other Horizon, and bumped up on a lot of items, I one, again, this goes per item, right? So in the actual grand scheme of things, the aggregate dropped, but the actual score per house of like IGN, GameSpot, Game Informer, it might move up and back and forth based on how they actually felt about that game upping the ante. That's where it becomes like a very inconsistent game, you know. So the thing about it is that it seems to me that the thing that sets God of War apart is that it has a framework where it's more based on universal acclaim rather than mixed reviews in that way. So I think that's what's the staggering difference. I think that's what is causing the issue here. And the thing is, even with universal acclaim, it still managed to hit a 94, which even the last game had universal acclaim. So it's just kind of very hard to mess with an aggregate in that way.
You know what?
Go down to the
you know what Stage?
Reviews.
You know what Stage? I'm gonna beat this out of you. This fucking devil's advocate shit.
Oh man.
You want to know something? This is what I'm gonna do.
What happened?
You want to play devil's advocate?
My God.
Put $50 on the line to say that Horizon Forbidden West won't be a part of the conversation. $50.
No, because
why not? Late.
One, because it's not that I'm.
No. You want to play devil's advocate? Put your money where your mouth is. Where the 50 cash app it?
Hear me out. Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Came out and was still in the conversation.
We're not talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. We talk about Forbidden West. You said that we don't know yet, and I'm telling you it's not a part of the conversation. And you saying wait, cool, I'll wait. But you know what? Put your money where your mouth is. $50.
Does this really need to be a thing, bro?
Hey, oh, absolutely. You want to play devil's advocate so much, so bad. that you want to believe in. Let's just see how things go. $50.
You're saying that you want to put money up that Horizon will not be a nominee.
Correct.
Because it has been a nominee already.
When?
The first game even.
We're not talking about the first game. We're not talking about the first game.
Dude, there were many games that were 88, dude.
We're not talking about the scores. Horizon got.
We're in the high 80s. Sorry.
Horizon got shitted on. Off rip.
Oh my god. 88 is a very high score.
We're not. Then you bring up the scores again. Point blank. You yay or nay stage. $50. Yes or no?
For what?
To say that it's not going to be a part of the. If it's a part of the fucking conversation, I'll cash app you $50. If it is,
I don't want $50.
Well, then I don't want to hear this shit no more about it.
Are you serious? Oh my god, bro! This is supposed to be about opinions.
No. See, the thing is, I'm telling you, it got shitted on, man. The Horizon got the shit end of the stick. People are saying that it's not a good game. Cool. It's not good enough.
That's their opinion. That's their opinion. Again,
we're not talking about one or two people. We're talking about the aggregate fucking community are saying that the game is not that great. Bro, who is sawing the tree down?
Yes, the aggregate did get pulled out. It didn't have the universal title.
Fucking Jemiah.
Yes, I can agree with that. Sorry, go on. I think you're breaking up.
No, he was sawing some fucking tree. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't get that.
I said he was
going in and out.
I said he was sawing some tree down, man. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Either way, the bottom line is this, right? At the end of the day, it didn't get the acclaim, and one of the reasons why is because it didn't have a character where people could feel and relate to. That was my whole argument. That was my whole.
And that might be part of it. Yeah, it might be part of it. I'm not going to say that that's why they didn't get Game of the Year, but because I don't know. That's one of the. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't in the conversation for Game of the Year. I don't think it could be that simple and that. How do you say it? Like it's making it a small item into something bigger than it is. Like that's what I think. Horizon has always been seen to be a console-selling game with flaws. That's what a lot of people seem to be putting it in that little box.
Is it what?
A console-selling game that has flaws.
What flaws?
I mean, ever since the first game, people complained about the RPG elements. They complained about the character not having too much, not being very likable. They also complained about the combat, the hand-to-hand combat.
Real quick though, Zelda don't even talk, so why is fucking he so likable? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Link doesn't even talk, so why is he so fucking likable? Master Chief barely says anything fucking constructive, and Kratos yells forward for fucking 3 hours. So like, that's a nitpick right there. That's a fucking huge nitpick, which is absurd.
Yeah, that I would consider that to be nitpicking. Yes. Little things with the character, but I'm saying that Horizon Zero Dawn, since the very beginning, people have gone after different elements of the game that they didn't like, whether it be the RPG elements being too light, again, the character, or the actual over game story not being that interesting. And the thing is, a lot of things that Horizon Zero Dawn fans have had to tell people is that you have to see the game through to a certain point of it where the actual story picks up, and so the thing is that
bro, you're in a preset story, setting, fighting fucking robot dinosaurs, bro. What are we doing here, bro? That's not interesting.
That was a criticism. I'm just saying. I'm not.
I
like the game. I like the game. I'm just saying what other people said. I can say things that other people said without throwing my emotions in it. That's the thing. I can see other people's points. I can empathize with them. I can understand.
I can't see their fucking point. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's
my thing is, you can't say that when I see all these other cookie cutter games coming out, but yet nobody has any fucking other fucking opinions about that shit. But for somehow this game, every single thing's under the microscope, which they did improve in Horizon Forbidden West. Line that story is better, personality better. Fucking combat, flying, environment,
I agree with you.
more fucking things, and it still got a lower score. So there's no reason behind that. You can't explain that to me in any way that makes sense.
No, but I'm saying that this situation is not as cut and dry. It's more, again, when you're comparing these two games from these two studios, it seems to me, just seems to me, that the appeal, the universal appeal, was nowhere near, because I think it scored a little worse than the first game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the universal appeal was nowhere near the level of even the first game. It kind of stepped back a little bit, even though it's still going to be a very...
Why did they say... Well, okay, what do you consider step back?
I mean, in all the as far as the aggregate is concerned. But
but you keep talking about other people. Every time we have a space or conversation, you talk about other people, and you never put yourself in it to avoid accountability. You personally, what is wrong with the game?
I observe people.
I get it. So if you observe people, then you should already know what's going on with this shit, and you should already know that Horizon is not a part of the conversation about Game of the Year. If you observe people,
I just said it.
Right. So you're saying that it's worse in some way because you observe people.
No, I'm not in agreement.
Because you observe. Okay, so why are you?
I have not played the game, but
you haven't played it. You haven't played it.
No. Hold on. I'm saying that a lot of reviewers are saying that there have been a lot of improvements in almost every area that people complain, and yet it still got an aggregate that was lower. I think that's bull, but it still exists. So
why do you think it got a lower score?
A lower score because of the fact that, again,
if it's better than every way, why did it get a lower score?
But because the thing is, again, as I said before, I'm going to repeat again. You're dealing with a multitude of different websites, and if there isn't universal appeal, everybody has their own individual reasons why they scored it higher or lower. So that is going to screw with the overall aggregate. That's all I was saying.
Nobody that reviewed the game a 10 or an 8 or a 9 has said that this is their game of the year. Usually when you see a game of the year, you feel it, you know it, and you're going to immediately say it. They said it was a good game, and that was the end of the fucking discussion.
Yes.
So if it's better than every way, then why? Even with God of War, right? I'm gonna say this. I'm getting tired of the conversation, not because of you. I'm just sick of it in general.
Yeah.
But
going longer than truth, yeah.
But God of War, people have been literally saying that it's not really doing much in terms of combat or graphics, but 10 out of 10.
Wait, when did they say that?
These reviews. Did you read did you see the reviews?
Yeah, I've seen. I listened to ACG. I listened to IGN. I listened to GameSpot. I listened to all of them said that almost everything about this game has pushed beyond the last game.
I'm talking about God of War.
Yes.
They all said that the side quests is something that I don't like. They don't like the loading or the crawling or whatever the case is. And they said that it's not doing too much. In terms of gameplay, it still feels very familiar.
I don't. That's why I'm asking who said
ACG said that shit. ACG was the most negative out of all of them.
Okay, I gotta go and listen to him.
You just heard. Why are you gonna ask the question? Saw the fucking reviews and then forget conveniently.
It's not convenient. I said I will go back.
But you already read it. You're a scholar. You already got you study a lot. How did you don't remember what they said?
Dude, do you know how many the average video of God of War Ragnarok was between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on who was talking about it.
And I watched it, and look, I watched it too.
I was watching many videos.
So did I. I watched a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you still saying
you're still saying the first time we've had follow-up conversations.
And you still say, "Oh my gosh, how, who said this? Who?" I'm like, "Did you see the same clip?"
Dude, I have no problem with you actually saying that as long as you tell me who. I will check it out.
It was ACG. In terms of like all of them said it. To be honest with you, they all said that it's not doing them. That's not the gameplay. It's not pushing any kind of envelope, but that's okay. It's familiar. You'll be right in it. All of them said that shit.
You said ACG?
ACG, yeah.
You said ACG.
He seemed I mean, he said that, but I don't think he meant it like in a negative. Like, because a lot of reviewers were saying like, yeah, it's the same as God of War 2018, but it's improved upon even more.
Yeah.
So like,
but that's the thing.
Like, it seemed like they weren't putting that as a negative. That was a positive. It's more of the same. Like the same reason why some people were saying they seem to play the safe, or they played it safe, or like they didn't like don't broke what was already fixed. Like it was all like 2018 was already a good game, so why would you like go above and beyond from
Horizon went fucking to the bank, cashed everything out, went to Vegas and hit the jackpot. And yeah, they're like, yeah, it's whatever. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
That's exactly.
It comes down to you. As long as it's a great.
Oh my lord, yo, you and your subjectiveness, yo, living in that.
I do not care about the game of the year. I'm not arguing. I'm just
you and it,
I don't care.
You and your subjectivity right now, yo. If you continue to be this subjective, nothing will ever get done. Ever get done.
We'll always be subjective as human beings, dude.
We're not talking. You gotta make a stand at some fucking point to make a point. You can't just say leave it to the wind. Oh well, I mean everybody has their own opinions, but these people are getting paid for these fucking opinions, and people's money and job is on the line for these fucking opinions. Like what Jemiah said, Horizon improved on everything, Melee, all of this shit in every fucking conceivable way. And they literally just brushed it the fuck off. God of War is known to be, it's playing it safe. It's played very familiar to the 2018 version, but 10 out of 10. Explain the discrepancy.
You said it yourself, that the actual game itself, Horizon, even though you love it, there's things about it that...
We're not talking about me. I'm not talking about me.
Oh my lord, I'm just saying.
What about it? What about it though?
I'm saying, even though it was the opinion makes sense. I'm saying that if you can see that there's reasons why, you can actually articulate what these reviewers might have these issues that reviewers might.
These reviewers do not have the same gripes that Josh has. Like, he has like all these like minute detailed things. They're just talking about in general. Like they're just like, oh, everything's better. The fucking better combat, better side quests. The side quests feel like real missions. Everything's awesome. 8. Like what? Like that doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I just don't understand why you can't understand that. What we're saying is, from what they're saying and what they wanted to be improved upon, it got improved upon. They went above and beyond. They added races, fight pits, the whole tattoo system. They had all these different things. Photo mode goes crazy. Fucking anything you want, they added to the game for you. And it still got a lower score. That makes no sense. No matter how you try to explain about fucking aggregates and fucking social norms and feelings in society, I don't care. It makes no sense when you have a game comes out that's the same shit and it gets a better score. I don't care. It doesn't make sense. Don't try to argue that point.
Okay, then I won't.
Thank you, because I think this show is long enough.
At the end of the day,
it makes no goddamn sense.
At the end of the day, it's a subjective opinion.
Yeah.
So
No, hold on, wait. Hold on, wait. Let me say this. Hold on, wait. Hold on. You think opinions don't really matter that much? It's just opinions, right? It's how people feel, right?
No.
Yes or no for this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if I had an opinion, wait, hold on. You didn't even let me finish. If I had an opinion, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're 35 years old, right?
Yeah.
And you're dating a 23-year-old. And if I say that, yo, that is, underage shit. That's my opinion. And if I ran around and said that's underage shit, it would matter deeply to you, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be just in the fucking opinion, would it?
Well, it depends on who you are.
Well, it doesn't matter. If I ran around to just in the city and was like, Stage, he's dating bad young people, yo. I don't know about that. In my opinion, and I don't know. That would fuck your reputation up.
Leonardo DiCaprio's getting in trouble.
Yeah, but and that's the point. Leonardo DiCaprio is getting in trouble, but everything checks out with him. But he's still in trouble.
Getting in trouble. Women are just becoming wary of his dating habits.
It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is that can fuck up somebody's career or it can fuck up somebody's reputation, and that's why these opinions from these paid people matter. That's what I'm saying. You can't just sit there and say that it's just an opinion. These people are fucking up these people's money. by saying some wild shit.
Like, somehow Metacritic is tied to people's fucking bonuses and shit. This is actual real life shit. This is not me or fucking your opinion. This is actual people who are getting paid and contributing to this fucking thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't give a fuck about other people's opinions. My opinion is invalid, no matter how much I like the game or not.
As well, yeah.
The same thing happened with Days Gone, because everybody said that this shit was misogynistic and shit. But in your case, it's just opinions. Who cares? And well, guess what? They're not making a sequel anymore.
Yeah, but no, hold on one second. The primary reason was Sean Layden. From what I read, that Sean Layden, because of the fact that he was not the head of Sony, he was leaving. The head of
regardless of what matter it is, I don't care who. I don't care about logistics. The bottom line is the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. If the game was critically acclaimed and have a higher score, we would have had a fucking sequel. But since it wasn't, it didn't get a sequel.
I understand, but the game launched.
So did fucking Elden Ring. It didn't matter that that fucking game did it.
I agree. I totally agree with you there. I'm not going to argue with you with that.
Well, then what's
I think it was bullshit that it got 10s when it had so many technical hiccups.
That's all I'm saying. You can that's what I'm saying. You can't run around. But you can't.
I feel like the point that both of you are trying to make is not every game gets the same treatment.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think I'm pretty.
I'm on the bush about the shit.
No, it wasn't.
I think I'm being.
No. There's an aggregate score of societies, wolves, and according to Freud. Like, no, dude. Like, these people are dictating.
Human beings are inconsistent. Human beings are inconsistent. Take what it is for you, what you will, and essentially.
Inconsistent is like, bro. I missed the fucking line when I was drawing my crayons. These people are going out of their way to fucking destroy games. That's not
going out of their way. That's pretty extreme.
No, they are. Survivor was definitely going out of their way. Survivor was definitely going out of their way. But there's multiple outlets. Xbox Mondo always gives every Xbox game a 10. That's not possible. You know what I mean? Let's not pretend that these people aren't biased and doing fucking shady shit.
All right, then what you you arguing about? Like, at the end of the day, Stage, some people are going out the way. They literally was like, okay, Deacon can't look at his wife. He said nice ass. Oh, how dare he? The male gaze. What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, I'm not. I have to play it.
It was real extra. It was extra. And some of these people.
Like, why are they black zombies? Like, they're doing all kind of extra shit for that game for no fucking reason, bro.
No, but you know what I say to that?
And that was just someone who didn't play the game, because if you play the game, you would know why the zombies fell.
That freaking disease caused like albinism and the freakers, like.
And the funny thing is, to you stage, you're like, oh, well, it's just an opinion. No, this shit is serious.
No. But an opinion can still weigh whether I listen to somebody or not. It can still be a stupid opinion to me, but at the end of the day, it's still an opinion.
They still got a fucking job. That's the point we're trying to make. They still got a job.
Yeah, showing their bias can, definitely outright can literally disrupt the quality of the actual review itself.
Like, I can sit there and break down The Last of Us Part 2 in every fucking direction, and still, even though I personally don't like it, the game's an 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, even Solid Rev broke it down. He said he gave the story a 5, and it still came up to an 8. And he literally did it on a scale, which is one of the reasons I give him more props than anybody.
And the same thing with Horizon. The game Horizon, for my own reasons, which I won't get into in this particular space, is an 8.5 to me for my own particular reasons, and that's what it is. But the thing about it is, even if you don't look at the scores like that, like the first,
I think it's an 8.5. It makes total sense why it landed where it did.
No. These other people are literally, like, for instance, I forgot who reviewed the first Horizon.
Yeah.
They gave it such a low fucking score. They gave it like a 2 out of 5 or some crazy ass fucking number.
Survivor.
Right. So you see what I'm saying?
That's what I was talking about. I was trying to say that before I was getting cut off.
No, you were saying that shit,
Survivor.
But you also said.
Hey, listen. Let's time out real quick though. My thing is though is shit was almost fucking perfection, right? We can agree to that, right? Can we all agree that game came out almost flawless? Okay, you have games coming out with performance issues. You have games coming out that are fucking not working, and yet they're getting higher scores. This is my point.
Unity was the game that started the whole trend where Assassin's Creed almost got destroyed for it.
Well, it should have. Any game that comes out playing like the way it does, especially these Switch games, should get lower scores. Performance is a key metric, and how a fucking game should be reviewed.
And
it shouldn't be about fucking story aspects of it. The story is irrelevant to me when it comes to fucking to reviews. To reviews though, I want to know how if the game's played. Does it play well? Is it fluid? How is the fucking like the world building, the environments? You know what I mean? Does it make sense? Not I don't like the way this guy's wearing his hat backwards. 4 out of 10. You know what I mean?
And the same thing happened with and the same thing and no, but you're saying hold on, wait. You're saying hold on.
Yeah.
You're sitting there and you're saying this, right? I agree with you, but then you're not really agreeing because you keep coming up with these other things.
I believe that there's nuance to everything.
Of course, there's nuance. To everything, but what boils down is the end result. Yeah, you can sit there and say that there's nuance to it, but at the end of the day, games didn't get sequels with this fucking nuance. It doesn't matter what your
yeah, but on a philosophical level,
we ain't talking about philosophical level. We're talking about tangible shit. We're talking about some philosophical levels. We ain't talking about that shit. You keep bringing that shit in here.
I'm about to go play God the Mic. I'm out.
All right, man. Lordy, man. Jesus Christ. We ain't talking about that shit at all. We talking about what we see.
This is the same reason this man wants to beat the $50 out of me because...
Yeah, your boy be on some shit like, like in 18th century Rome.
I say, Jemiah. This is what, no, Jemiah. No, Jemiah. Yo, Jemiah, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So, all right, so this is what he's doing. Stage. What did you major in?
Huh?
What did you major in?
Art,
right? Are you doing anything art wise for a career?
Graphics, yes.
You're doing graphic art?
Yeah, but yeah.
Are you getting paid for it?
Yeah, it was.
Are you getting paid for it? So you see how this thing?
Now I got laid off.
You see that slick ass shit, yo? Are you? I was. No, are you?
Damn, you fucking you got this man split his whole beans out.
No, I'm saying this right. Because I'm saying this right. He's milking this degree for all it's worth. He's like, I paid all this fucking money. I'm gonna debate a nigga. I wasted all this fucking time and there's 4 years of this shit. Somebody gonna get debated. Shit.
What?
That's what you're doing.
You're trying to be too intellectual in these conversations that have cut and dry fucking arguments. You know what I mean? You're like, oh well, sometimes people wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and that certain day they may have to have a review in by 3. So no, motherfucker, the game is fucking objectively better, nigga. Like Bayonetta runs like shit. That should be in the review. That should get 50.
Hold on a second. If we're speaking objectively, I can agree with you on a technical standpoint because that's the only place objectivity.
That's what I'm saying. You have games that don't run properly, and they're getting scores higher than games that. If a game runs, and the minimum score should be at 50. If the game just plays the way, if you don't like the game, that's fine. But if it plays perfectly with no issues, it should at least get a 50. You have games that don't fucking run properly that are getting fucking 70s, 80s, and 90s. That makes no sense to me. But you'll give a game that works fine a fucking 2. That doesn't. Just because you don't like the story is irrelevant. That's what I'm saying. Like these reviews need to be held to a higher standard. And I think Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, and any other major publisher needs to come out and have a fucking say and say that this needs to be a standardized fucking way of reviewing games. People's opinions should not fucking matter about the game.
That's probably never going to happen because the argument is going to be is a person's opinion.
Exactly. It goes
no,
back
it's
to
not,
subjectivity. It does.
Okay,
You cannot stop it. You cannot stop it.
If a game that runs at 30 runs at 10, that's an opinion.
No, my point is basically.
If the game is supposed to be 4K 60, and the textures look 8-bit, the textures are missing, there's poppins. That's not objective.
I I hear what you're saying, but what you want is not going to happen because of that reason. Because people will.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You create the metrics for the outline. So you have performance, you have gameplay, you have things that are objective. The story can be included, but it needs to have a lower fucking weight.
But it goes back to my original point. Not every game is reviewed the same way.
No, wait, baby. Yo, baby. See, you got me calling you crazy ass fucking names, man. I don't mean it. I'm gonna call you D. I'm gonna sit there and say it.
I'll call Gourmet delicious, nigga. You know what I mean?
I'm sitting there, yo, baby. I'm like, yo, baby, please, baby.
Baby, please.
You don't want to call me the baby, just call me D. That's fine.
That's even worse.
Yeah, don't call me baby, please.
Yeah, I can't call you D either, yo. D, yo.
Said call me D. What the fuck?
No,
Yo, I'm out.
Baby, just buy me lunch first.
all right, no.
I'm playing Batman and shit, bro.
All right, man. Thanks for your input, man.
Yeah.
We got that. We got
This
you.
nigga stage gotta chill, though.
Yo.
Hey, bro, like, but it's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, and he's completely
No,
right.
but see,
Human beings are
BD.
inconsistent. Even if you gave us a metric, we would still give a subjective answer. They would mostly all agree on technical aspects, which are factual, but the fact that, and actually, that would actually expose who doesn't know what the technical aspects are.
All right, hold on, wait, BD, right? We get that. The games are not rated evenly. But the thing is,
Yes.
Stage is making a mountain out of a molehill, man, all the time.
No, I did not.
Yes, you
said
did.
that
Yes,
there's
you
a
did.
difference between universal
Yes,
appeal
sir.
and mixed reviews.
Sir, yes, you did. You talking about philosophical shit, man.
Oh,
Philosophy,
Jesus
and we're
Christ.
talking about what we are observing. That's it. That's all we're saying. The thing about it is,
I'm talking about humanity on a
our humanity about a video game.
Humanity.
You are taking this shit too far, yo. It's a game.
No, I am not.
Humanity in the
I
state
think that's what
of
it is.
quantum
That's-
physics
No, I will not.
and
No.
quantum tunneling is letting people make a decision. Come on, dude.
Jesus Christ, bro, that is not what this is all about, bro. You're making it into a mountain
Nope.
out of a molehill.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
We at the end of the day, like Bayonetta is a 60 frames per second game, yo, and that shit that shit is under fucking 30, yo. That is a flawed game, yo, and somehow it got a 10.
A 10 from who?
You do your own research.
But you know very well that game didn't even get, dude. Every Bayonetta game has gotten a 90 to some degree. But hold on, this is the first Bayonetta that has been in the 80s ever. So you can't use that.
No, I'm talking about the main publications, yo. That game did not. The hardware completely choked that fucking game out, man. That hardware destroyed it.
Didn't some reviewers point that out though?
They pointed it out, but they were like, "Yeah, it performs. It could be an issue. 10 out of 10.
No.
9 out of 10.
You said the same thing about Elden Ring.
9 out of 10.
You're literally passing the same argument from Elden Ring to Bayonetta.
Because my point just still sticks. The point is that this shit is unfair. That's always been the point.
I think we all know that.
That's all I was saying. But he wanted to take 50 minutes to say something about subjective and how it doesn't impact anything. And then he says
said that long ago.
and then he says that it does
It's about
impact something
technicality.
after 40 minutes after the conversation. And then he makes another thing about aggregates and shit. And it's like, bro, all we're saying is that these opinions have a lot of weight and they affect the game, and I don't think that's fair. And people don't have a good
We didn't
idea.
discuss that until Jemiah got into it.
Yeah, because you kept cutting people off.
What? Oh my god, bro! You were talking about being in the picture for Game of the Year. That was different.
That is still
That is a completely different.
that is
argument.
still in the
Those-
same
those are two
that
different
is
arguments.
still in the same vein. So there's
Oh
that.
my lord! There's many paths to veins.
People are making games game of the year, and we wanted to figure out what quantifies as game of the year. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yes.
And
that is the original argument.
we came to the agreement that what makes a game of the year is quite simply how you feel about the character or how you feel about the art style or whatever. That was the whole conversation.
Yeah. What your Game of the Year, personally? Yeah.
No, I didn't say anything about my game of the year. This is my observation. That's all I was saying. What I'm observing is that people care about characters and story over actual gameplay. That was my observation.
Okay.
It's not an opinion. That's my observation. Is what I'm seeing.
Observation is still can be considered.
It can be considered an opinion, but it's not an opinion. It's an observation. It's what I see.
There still has to, but remember.
And I backed up all of these points regarding my observation.
Before something becomes a theory,
Every time you look at for the last 10 years about a game of the year situation, it has something to do with some sort of character or story and not gameplay. For the last 10 years. I mentioned all of that shit. You.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, you, for some reason, is making it way more than what it is. All I'm saying is that I observed that over the last 10 years, that the games of the year have pretty normal gameplay and outstanding stories. And that's what made it. And there's other games that have really crazy, quirky gameplay, and they didn't give them the game of the year. Because they didn't have the story to back it up. See, there you go with the and ahs. I'm done. Listen, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I need to play some video games. I'm not doing this and ahs and all the other shits. Man, I said what I said. Yo, listen.
You with that opinion, bro.
Listen, Stage, it's been great speaking with you all the time, yo. You know we always gotta get in these heated debates. The same thing with you.
Interesting, bro. That's what makes it interesting.
It does. That's why people stayed in here for almost 3 fucking hours. Yo, y'all crazy. Y'all we still are crazy. So anyway. No, that was a reference for The Last Guardian, which is funny because The Last Guardian was, I think, did they even say anything about The Last Guardian?
What happened?
Was that Game of the Year contender, The Last Guardian?
No, not even close. It was like in the low 80s, I believe.
No, I say Game of the Year contender.
No.
Because Game of the Year contender is not about the scores, it's about what people choose.
What year did it come out, Last Guardian?
I don't remember.
Hold on, let me check. Let's do it real quick.
I don't remember.
It was 2016. Yeah, there's no way. Let me, 2021, 2017, 2016. It was stopped at 2017. 2016. Game of the Year. Nominees.
I think Shadow of the Colossus didn't even get chosen, and that was like one of the most unique gameplay. This shit crazy. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. It's on YouTube, by the way. It's listed on Spot. So just to let you know, that is my YouTube channel. This is all recorded. I'm not actually there, and I don't know if I should break the shit up.
Sorry. Inside, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, Uncharted 4, Doom. Yeah, that was it. Sorry. There you go.
Yep. So we are going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And you guys take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe.